leveled up, right?
No, we didn't level up.
All right.
We leveled up.
Oh yeah, we did level up.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan. I'm here with the Couch Cooperative. We are a group of local friends that like playing Dungeons & Dragons that are bringing our games online. We are on our second episode of the full-length campaign, The Tyranny of Dragons. Going through the first part of it, The Hoard of the Dragon Queen. We'll do a short recap in just a moment. We'll kind of walk back around the table to introduce the players. We have met your guys' characters, but if you guys just want to do just a very brief just reiteration of who you're playing from this point on, it'll just help people kind of get reminded. And after that, we don't have any announcements for today, so we'll be jumping into it pretty quickly. We're excited, and I'll do a recap once we're done. So I guess we'll start here with Katray.
Katray, I am playing Sorcerer, Divine Soul Healer. And there's one thing I did want to say. Our first stream got 100 views, which is crazy. So thank you everyone who watched that.
Yeah, thank you. That was nuts. And that was in like a day.
I don't even know how.
I posted it to Twitch, and it was just like awesome. That's what it was.
But who? Like, I don't even know who.
No clue. Tried to look. Didn't happen.
I don't
So whoever watched it, thank you.
We got
You'll
view
be watching
botted.
this tomorrow.
I view botted us, guys. My secret came out.
So
Okay, I'm Gabe. I'm playing a monk, and my name is a horse.
And I'm Nick. I'm playing the Barbarian Hacker.
all right. So we're gonna go ahead and do our quick little recap. So last week on our first episode, our adventurers, who are all residents of a agricultural town of Greenest, you awoke in the middle of the night to a massive dragon. Frightening terror as this dragon began to just eviscerate with its lightning breath homes and starting to scorch the land and causing so much fear, chaos, and confusion that these raiders were able to completely make their way through with little to no resistance. They were killing, pillaging, and taking what they could from home. You guys were fortunate enough to come to the defense of a family that was making their way to the keep, as you guys knew that the keep of Greenest was really the biggest and only source of defense in the town. So you got there as quick as you could, you helped out a family, and eventually were redirected throughout the night to go rescue a larger portion of some of the residents that had locked themselves in the nearby Temple of Shantae underneath the guidance of Priest Adian Falconmoon. You guys were successful in causing a diversion that allowed you to rescue undetected without any casualties. You guys brought all of them back to the safety of the keep, in which at the pinnacle of this assault, the supposed leader amongst this raider group had brought himself out, this 7-foot half-dragon creature, blue scale matching that of the dragon that was assaulting you, but covered in this just purple armor and had two very massive weapons alongside him. He challenged Greenest's best warrior to a single combat, saying that this fight will be over and he will return a series of prisoners who turned out to be a few youth and the wife of the malicious Sergeant Marketh, who would have stepped up to his wife's defense if you guys had not, if Arboris actually had not gone up and fought him single-handedly. While you were completely defeated in single combat and nearly lost your life,
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
you did prove yourself a warrior in this creature's eyes. You did save the 4 prisoners from any potential further harm, and have marked yourself as a hero of Greenest, who were very grateful for your assistance. Now, upon resting, waking back up in the morning and finding out that the biggest thing that you noticed was that these raiders weren't really here to destroy. They had a dragon with them. If your guys' death was their goal, it would have happened. And since a lot of you were alive, and that because of you, even more were left alive, you were able to determine that a lot of the goals of these raiders were to break into homes and steal, and they were stealing a lot of valuables. You found that a lot of riches of the people were completely taken. Homes were picked clean, and so you guys sought out after these raiders, also learning that a very important individual who had arrived into Greenest that night, under the cover of a scholar seeking to kind of travel throughout the lands. He's a monastic individual named Leosin Erlanthar, who Arboris had told you guys he needs to speak with. Now, while you don't know why, you found out that he willingly got himself captured, or supposedly, seeing as he's a very trained individual, he seems to have been captured by the raiders, and so you guys sought after them to see if they were going to encamp at one point so that you could potentially free him. While traveling, you had found a series of stragglers. You know that there's still people that were catching up with the bulk of the forces, and that was to be expected because the retreat from Greenest wasn't really organized. It was just a free-for-all go in and get out. You guys made it past a series of stragglers after getting somewhat detected, and then made your way around a rear guard that was left in order to kind of protect the camp from any kind of like retaliatory forces. You guys made it close enough to still remain pretty much undetected to find that this camp kind of nests in a kind of horseshoe bend in which the rock walls that kind of arc up around it, protecting it from kind of the outside, can scale anywhere up to 150 feet. Now, at the top of the encampment, because it kind of elevates the further you get in, you saw what appeared to be an elven man who was tied to this intricate kind of like wooded X with these metallic dragon kind of like border frames at the ends. He was tied up to it, and he did seem to have been harmed by an individual that was kind of boasting his current status amongst the remainder of the raiders. You guys also saw that half-dragon, that blue half-dragon, before they brought him inside a cave that is on the far end of the camp. And that is where we ended up leaving off. You guys are going to have to find some way, knowing that this camp is way bigger than you guys can handle on just the three of you. So this isn't seeing it. You have roughly, like, I would say anywhere between 30 to 40 tents just kind of pocketed in different clusters of various sizes and shapes. And we'll have to find some way to make it to that cave to find Leosin Erlanthar and get him out. So that is where we left off. And so seeing that encampment and seeing people kind of walking back and forth, it's a mixture of these humans, these kobolds, and these other individuals who are also human, but they are the only ones that carry some form of like a uniform of any form of like armor or insignia, in which they are either wearing mixtures of blacks with these like weird half cloaks, or they are decorated in purple armor and livery like the half dragon was. So everyone else outside of that looks like they've piecemealed together armor. The kobolds have these makeshift crude weapons, from slings to daggers to short swords to little spears. So what would you guys like to do?
Where are we at in relation to everything?
You guys, so the camp extends southeast from kind of where you are. So you guys are on the northwest edge of the camp. You guys are, there's pockets of trees, but it's not a forested area. It's more of a grassland, but there are pockets of trees that do help give you some areas to remain covered. And you're still a distance away to where you're not out in the open. So hiding very briefly is still very easy because it appears as if they're not really searching for anyone.
What time of day is it?
Right now, I would say roughly about midday, pushing a little bit more towards the afternoon.
Well, do the structures that they have, are they flammable?
All tents. All tents. There is one additional structure that's not a tent, and it's a tower that rests on what would be the northeastern edge of the encampment. but it's elevated on a part of the plateau. So it's about 100 feet up, whereas then the rock wall continues up for maybe another 50 feet before it reaches its peak. Because again, it's surrounded by wall, and then it kind of comes up.
So it's like a plateau, and then there's a tower on the plateau.
It's like a little hill, and then the plateau kind of surrounds the encampment, and the tower is a little bit on like a little outcropping, and then the rock still goes behind it. So the tower doesn't look outwards; it's looking inwards. It's trying to look over the camp, not around the camp.
If we wait for night, we might be able to surprise attack them.
I was also thinking that we could set fire to the tents, cause them to have something to focus their attention on while we shuffled around.
I think that might be a bit destructive. What if it burns the grass surrounding and the trees and everything else around and everything else living here?
More of a problem for them to deal with.
But do you not care about the other living things here? You only care about killing what's here?
No, I care about the living things here, but I care about the life of the elven man on the cross inside that cave a little more right now.
Sure, but there's no sense in saving a life if you're taking it at the same time. At least lives that don't need to be taken.
I think we should do both. At night, we light fire to the camp, and
Well, that's what I was saying at nighttime, because it will have the cover of night, and we can set fire on a far part of the camp away from the cave, so that as the fire ignites, they're all turn their attention away from the cave, and we can sneak around into the cave.
Do you not know how unpredictable fires are? What if we light everything on fire and ends up killing the man we came for?
you have a better idea for a distraction?
Well, if it's nighttime, we can sneak up. That's what I'm saying, everyone.
At about this point, you guys all notice a little bit kind of more outside your peripherals, because they're really not trying to be like quiet. You do see what appears to be another group of stragglers that are walking into the camp about this point. They're not anyone that you're familiar with from the people that you were trying to kind of keep an eye on when it came to the rear guard in that camp that had the kobolds and the humans mixed together. So you don't remember any of these. It appears to be just people that have eventually caught up, and they were traveling at a slower pace than even you guys, and you guys had gotten they had well of a head start. They kind of just walk directly into camp and find a campfire and just sit down and start getting food, because people are a mixture of eating. They find a campfire with people around it and start going for kind of making meals, but it doesn't appear. And what you can see is if anyone is no one looks as if they're concerned.
Can I make a perception check for any group of 3 or less individuals who we could potentially ambush without alerting the others in the camp?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
Nat 20.
Nat 20. So with your nat 20, I'm actually going to go ahead and allow you to make an insight roll, and I'm going to give you advantage on that roll because of how well you have seen the movements of these different individuals.
So that one's going to be
You
a
lucky
5,
bastard.
and that one's going to be a unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. Okay. So watching the movements of these raiders, and again, the tents are pocketed. So there's like 4 tents, up front. There's another 5, maybe a little bit behind them. There's another 6, maybe just across the way, and they kind of zigzag. They're not all clustered, but people are coming and going freely. What you notice is that there really isn't a buddy system, so it's not like you're watching people go out in groups, but because you're watching these movements and watching the way that these raiders are kind of carrying themselves, you take a moment to kind of just really think about it, and you see above, like on that hill edge where they brought that elven man into that cavern, you do see a series of guards, and they're the ones that are wearing these black kind of like half cloak gear, a little bit more tighter leathers. They look a little bit more uniform. Everyone else doesn't look like they're concerned in the slightest. They don't look like they're on edge. Everyone looks like they're confident, as if they have just gotten home from like a successful war. You get the impression, based on your unnatural 20 for insight, that you very much could walk into this camp,
And they would not.
and as long as and potentially deceive your way through, because it doesn't appear when stragglers have made their way in, as if they're like there's no call sign. There's no one trying to determine that whoever's coming in is exactly who they say they need to be.
Except for those guys in the black.
But you haven't seen anyone approach them. In fact, all the raiders are staying far enough away from them because they're pretty much hanging out in their little hovels. Their little
Are those
pockets.
guys? Are any of them by the cave at all, or not so much now?
None of
Can
like
I-
just the normal raiders that you can see, like the different types. None of them, for the most part, look like they're hanging out anywhere near. And in fact, the majority of them are on the lower end of the camp. A few have made their way kind of where the camp starts to kind of rise. But once the camp has officially reached its peak, a lot of those individuals are. This is where you start to see the kobolds be a little bit more frequent with your natural 20. And then there's like a small cluster of camp or of tents where these individuals specifically seem to be kind of hanging out around. They're very distinct from the remainder.
Okay. I'm gonna turn to you guys too then after seeing all that, and I'm gonna say, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm watching them walk around the camp, and they don't seem to care too much about anything. And I'll point to one of the guys who's in like the black armor, that's kind of the cloaked one and stuff, and just kind of say, notice how like everyone kind of avoids them too. And if we were to avoid them, it wouldn't be that out of the ordinary, I don't think. And everyone else, if we just look scary enough, no one will stop us.
Well, I think I might have an issue with being recognized with that blue dragonborn, but if any of you have a cloak or something I could cover my face with, I'm not against self-mutilation.
So because I'm an outlander, I was allowed to start with an animal trophy.
Okay.
I wanted to start with like an animal's skull, but that could be worn as a mask.
Okay.
Could I have one that he could wear?
Yeah. You got to think animals that would probably be big enough in my understanding. I mean, this is where you're probably looking at like
A bull?
lions,
Oh,
bears,
Could we do
bulls.
Could it be an owl bear?
Dan, you want me to put an owl bear skull on?
I would say so. Here's the only reason why I'm going to say no
That's
is
fun.
I'm going to say by technicality, owlbears are considered monstrosities, less
So it's-
beasts,
So it's too big.
because they're monsters.
Or a bull.
So when you get like an animal trophy, I'm thinking more like traditional animals versus like legitimate monsters. If you had a monster trophy,
That's
then I
true.
would be able to maybe have a little bit of some leeway there.
That's fair.
So I'm thinking maybe like bear skulls,
a giant boar?
boars would be fine.
Let's do a boar.
Okay, so like the top part of the boar.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Right, and it takes the little part of the kind of like the actual like chin and the
Tusks.
bottom jaw out. The tusks are on there, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just throw that on top of your head, and you guys walk into the camp.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my shirt off though, just so it's like, cause I have like wear a green shirt, so I just want to be a little less distinguishable. So like I'll just be shirtless.
Okay. Yeah, so as you guys walk through the camp, I'm going to need everyone, if you can, to just make a charisma check. Just a flat charisma check. No proficiencies, no skills.
Here, you go first. Oh, guys.
What is it?
Ah,
Same thing, bro. Get out of my face.
No, it's a 9.
Is it a 9?
Yeah, look at the dot.
Alright, yeah.
I mean, it's still a 9.
I got a 2.
A 2?
You got
With
3.
no plus?
Nah.
7.
We're fucked.
7? 7, 9, and a 2.
We're
Okay.
fucked.
Yeah, so you guys walk through, and you guys kind of make your way into the camp. Immediately, no one seems to get suspicious. No one's concerned. You guys kind of walk in. What do you guys want to do? There's different people that you can kind of talk to.
What area was the elf in?
The elf has been brought into the cavern, which is on the far end of the encampment.
What
And
kind
you
of?
still have an entire expanse of just the raiders, so the people, like the humans that you notice that you guys have fought a lot in the town, they are in this expanse of the camp. Once you get past that, this is when you're going to start dealing with a lot of the kobolds and these more uniform individuals.
Can I roll a perception check to see if I recognize anyone that might have been pretending to be a part of the scared crowd in this group?
A part of
Like
which
maybe
scared crowd?
like a spy inside of the main building we were all hiding in. like someone that was pretending to hide with everyone that was really just reading.
Yeah, no one seems as if they were. Yeah, you wouldn't even have to roll for that. Everyone, you don't remember anyone. Greenus is a pretty small town,
Okay.
so like you would know.
Someone.
You would know. You would remember a face. All of you guys, for the most part, if it's in context of your home, you'd remember a face. None of these guys kind of match up with that.
Is there a tent that looks a little bit more important than the other ones?
Yes, there's one, and it's right outside the mouth of the cave.
Could I kind of stealth chill out over there and just try and eavesdrop a little bit?
Sure. Go ahead and make a stealth roll.
Okay.
What I am going to say though is, if you're intentionally trying to keep yourself hidden, it's going to be a little suspicious, especially on that half of the camp. So,
am I able to just walk more quietly without really I don't want to be I just want to be walking and pay attention to and kind of just try and attract as little attention to myself as I can.
Here's what I would say. Here's how I'll ruin that, because again, once you crest that kind of we'll call it that border between a lot of the normal raiders and these others.
Yeah.
Any intentional effort to conceal yourself, your movement, or your sound is going to potentially be suspicious.
Okay.
Especially if you guys are having the plan of kind of just walking in. So as a byproduct of that, any of the rolls that you have to do so because of the time of day, it's not really, you don't have the cover of night. I would say that you would have a disadvantage on that roll, because at that point you're almost making yourself a little bit more known.
Then I'm going to look to my I'm going to touch you. I'm going to look to my companions and say, everyone, I'm going to set up a campfire near that important looking tent over there, and I'm going to start cooking. We just need a feast after this great battle.
Okay.
I have cooking utensils and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. So you actually find a campfire that doesn't look like it's been fully lit yet.
Near the tent.
Near one of the tents.
I want to try and set up my own fire near the important tent.
A lot of the fires are, for the most part, away from that. So I'll say as close as you can comfortably get. You set up an encampment, kind of like a little campfire, and kind of get some of your cooking utensils out and kind of start preparing some of the little food that you have.
While he's doing that, can I find just a group of one of the more human groups of raiders?
Sure.
And approach them?
Yep.
I'm going to walk up to them. I'm going to say, we haven't even been here a full day, and I already want to leave.
You see a bunch of people who were in the middle of kind of tearing through kind of chunks of some of the livestock that they took, because they definitely took a few livestock to kind of feed themselves. Kind of all chuckle and giggle. And they're like, yeah, can't say. We've been kind of running through a lot of these there settlements here, and it's been a little quick, and they just get worse and worse the further we go down. Just shithole after shithole.
I'm going to point at the meat they're eating and say, well, at least that's good, right?
Well, I can't say about a farming town. They take care of their sheep pretty well, so I'm not going to lie. Tastes pretty damn good.
Fucking best.
Good use of salt, though.
No.
So, you get a nice cut from any of the houses? You find anything good? I know we're all promised at least one valuable
treasure barrels worth of valuables for those damn dragons. And what do I see from it? I see 20 gold.
Go ahead and make a charisma check.
I see what you're doing here.
That's going to be a
9. You see, he kind of looks down and he goes, okay, but really though, seriously, did you get anything good?
Gotta play it down a little bit.
That town didn't really have
One
anything.
second.
Come on.
Give me 1 second.
Gotta play it down.
I don't think I have anything for showing this guy.
Look, I get it, man.
No, you know what? I'll
hardly
take
had
the
anything.
fiddle. I'll take the fiddle off my back.
Okay.
To show him my fiddle. It's not really it's just a fiddle, but I'll say, I did find this.
Kind of looks it up and down. You see one
But
of the
then
other goes,
But
he goes,
then,
I bet he took it off that elf that Cyanwrath killed. I saw that fight, and I swear, oh man, I haven't seen anything worth watching since then.
can I insight that? Do I know anything about?
Sure. Go ahead and make an insight roll.
Thank God I have that fucking skull on, dog. Isn't that me? That's
Isn't
seven.
he
Isn't he talking about me?
Yeah, no, he's easily talking about Ouroboros. The only elf fight that was watchable was the fight between Ouroboros and this blue
So,
dragon.
I
when
told
he
you
says
they
that,
wouldn't
I'm gonna start
recognize me.
chuckling. I'm gonna go, yeah, you couldn't be more right. Any of
There's
you
a
fellows
whole
ever been up into that
Traitors.
handy dandy
man.
cave up there?
Fake friend.
In the cave,
Yeah. And I'm gonna kind of motion over to the cave.
they all kind of look over. You see most of them kind of look at each other. Go ahead and make another charisma check.
That's a 12.
The 12. See, they go, we must have picked him up on one of the previous settlements. Look, you're probably pretty new. We're given pretty clear instructions on where we can and can't go. That place is one of them.
And I don't talk
You
to
can
the
bring-
assholes very much.
You can bring it up
Is
with
it-
Sign
is it
Wrath, but
their role?
I doubt you're gonna want to talk to him.
Cyan Wrath is one of the assholes, right?
One of the assholes. Better keep your voice down when you talk like that. Did you see the way he skewered that elf? He damn near pinned him into the floor.
Fuck off. Come on, man. Stop rubbing salt on a wound.
I swear, if he was told that he was able to fight with the great sword, that elf would have been cleaved in two.
I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna say, but you guys have never like wondered what's in the cave, have you?
We get paid. And we're not lacking for money. Look, if you're new, I'm gonna do you a solid. Keep your nose on your face. Keep it out of anything else. Right?
It's just
Look, the
youth.
prisoners are in there. Anyone that we pick up stays in those caves. Anything else doesn't matter. Most of them are going to die anyways because they're all going to get overworked. But if they don't get overworked, they'll get fed to the drakes. So there really isn't anything you're going to find in there that's worth it.
That's fair.
They got dragon.
My ambition gets the best of me.
Those tattoos are pretty nice, and they kind of look. He looks kind of amongst your torso. Where'd you pick all those up? I had a buddy of mine that was looking to get some out in Baldur's Gate, but haven't found anything that maybe matches kind of that artistry. It's a little unique.
I'm gonna Sword Coast, I think. I don't remember getting them very well. I had a lot of problems with the.
You see, they all look at each other. They go, "We got a drinker. Yeah, we got a drinker." Well, yep. Outside of that, keep the ale away from this one. He will, and they all kind of start chugging.
I
Like
gave him
he
another
will
chuckle.
go on a bender, and he'll die. That's why he'll walk in those caves, and he'll be gone.
I'm gonna head. I'll catch you, misters, later, and I'm gonna head back to my companions.
Yeah, they start talking.
And
Like, silly fellow.
When I get back to you, I'm gonna tell you guys what I learned. So I'm gonna say,
Well, we'll sit off for a second. Is there
Okay.
anything that you guys would have wanted to have done while he's gone? I know you're kind of in camping. You're actually going to start getting a series of these like little kobolds because you're on that part of the camp that are coming up and seeing food. You notice they don't really have etiquette. Manners aren't really a thing.
I want to make a deal with them.
They are, for the most part, you notice they're very openly trying to steal the food from you, like where they kind of stare at you and see it and grab it as if like they're being sneaky, but with no concern on the matter.
I'm gonna put my hand on the hilt of my sword or my katana or not katana rapier,
Rapier, yep.
and I'm gonna look at them and go, little kobolds, if you'd like some food, we can make a deal here, but I'm not gonna let you take that from me.
What deal? What deal? We want food. Hungry, yes. Yes.
Well, I want you to tell me a little bit about what's inside that cave over there.
You see one of them who has kind of like a crooked snout, and his eye kind of is a little lazy. He's like, eggs, all the eggs. And they're like, shut up, Grit Rock.
Oh, you've never tasted my cooking before, then, have you? It's quite delicious. You give it a try, I'm sure you'll indulge on releasing some information as well. Why don't you have a
What
taste?
kind of information? We're not allowed to talk about anything that happens in the cave.
Well, who am I gonna tell? I'm just a nobody. Look at me.
Go ahead and make a charisma check.
I got a 11.
11.
Yeah.
He looks. He goes, I'll tell you what. That thing doesn't belong on your head. You could be eating so much food out of it. You just flip it upside down and fill it. Just, it's like a giant bowl, and it's on your head. So yes, you're a little silly. And you see the other one is just on the bowl. It's like, Rick Rock, shut up.
You know what I actually like, Gurkak? If you keep it up like how you're going, I'll give you as much food as you want, and no one else will get any food.
He instantly starts salivating. And he's like, I swear, Rick Rock, one more outburst out of you.
Oh, well, the rest of you kobolds can leave. Me and Gurkak are gonna stay here and eat. Right, Gurkak?
Enjoy your new friend. And they grab food and then they just take it and walk away. And he sits down and starts like tearing it down.
Gurkak, I heard there were eggs in there. Someone said that earlier. What kind of eggs are they?
Eggs, crack them, stamp them. Rah!
Are they big? I bet they're real big. You've seen them? Have you seen them? Once. Whoa. That must have. I bet that egg would make a really tasty meal, wouldn't it?
Eggs are good. Eggs are good. Right for your tummy.
Now hear me out, Gurkak. I've got another deal for you. Right, those big eggs down there. If you tell me what's really going on down there, especially about those eggs, I might be willing to cook one of those big ones up for you.
I'll tell you this. The pointy ear. Oh, he's in for it. He's gonna get skinned alive.
Do you know how soon?
Any day now. That's the best part of it. At this point, he kind of takes some more food.
Now, Gurkak. What do you guys have planned? Never mind. I'm done talking. It's fine. Take some food and leave, Gurkak. I'm done talking.
And he grabs like an extra that he really doesn't need. He has like 3 additional servings, like of just handheld food that he just doesn't need. Stuffs them into a little pouch, which is starting to drip with like some of the grease and some of the kind of like juices, and is just kind of like running off, just having the time of his life.
Show your thoughts, good.
Lux, anything that you would like to do?
Look pretty.
I just want to go in.
Going where?
The cave.
Go ahead, bro.
You just want to go into the cave?
Maybe
Can I just walk into the cave?
don't.
No. So there are people that are posted outside the cave, one on each side as guards. So you would have to find a way to get into the cave in order to kind of get...
but the tower. Can I go up into the tower?
The tower, you could actually. Yep, it's actually kind of a bend where you can go around past one of the like kobold camp like nests, and it kind of bends around. You see a little like walkway that kind of curves up to where the tower's at.
So would it help me maybe spotting another entrance into the cave or something?
You definitely could if you could get up there. There's someone already posted up at the tower, so I mean you can climb up the ladder and go up there if you would like.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. You go ahead and climb up the ladder, and when you get up there, there's a guy who's kind of posted up against kind of the corner, and he's just kind of looking down. He's got a pipe in one hand, which he's already sparked up, so he's smoking at the current moment. Kind of looks over as you get up, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm not asked to be on a separate rotation. I got like maybe another hour, so."
I just saw you up here. You look kind of bored, and I'm definitely bored down there. So I was wondering if we could just, if I'm being completely honest, I need my fix. Do you mind if I hit that?
Go ahead and make a curse check.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's good.
That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Dirty
He goes,
20.
Did you actually have
fine. Just give me a second. I think I got another one. And he kind of pulls out another kind of like wooden pipe.
Yeah,
and
you
he
got
kinda
2
gives
pipes
that over
already.
to you.
Thank you.
He's like, yeah, I'm a
Let's get the
collector.
feet.
Sorry, I don't want to look anything crazy, but you're right. It's just super boring kind of sitting up here, especially because every time we camp out, it's not like anyone's out to come get us. So it's like, I'm just chilling.
And down there,
It's-
those stupid kobolds everywhere.
Don't get me
Piss
started.
off.
I don't understand why Cyan Wrath even bothers with them, or why Resmir even wants them anywhere close to kind of mixing. Every time they intermingle, fights break out. We lose a series of these kobolds. It's not like they live. And every time we send them out, I mean, I heard, and don't get me wrong, I'm not entirely positive. I heard that one of the few people that were able to fight back in Greenest was just tearing these things left and right. I guess they had like a magic user or something, but I think he was cut down pretty quick because I didn't see him or hear about him for the rest of the night. Heard about him briefly. So
I
it's
hate
just like
magic users so
kobolds
much.
are just so. What brings you to raiding and pillaging all these towns?
You
No,
know,
the pay's
it's-
nice.
I mean, what else is there? I need money.
Yeah, but I mean, eventually, we'll actually be able to get involved, and I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are looking for is to stop pretending that we're in, we're out, and actually just fully commit ourselves. But I mean, it's taking time, and everyone here wants to be a full-fledged, devoted.
It's fair.
Some cool shit.
Have you met? I know it's a little. I don't mean to come off the wrong way. Have you by chance met Resmir's hand? He's a tiefling, just kind of like yourself. Actually, if it weren't for the black scales that kind of coated parts of his body, I wouldn't have really put the two together. Like, he looks a lot like you. Like, yellow skin and everything, he's just got black scales, which I think is weird, but I think with his involvement, he's probably a little bit further along the path. I really hope we all don't get scales, but that might just be me.
This looks like this hit a flicker and something triggered Katrit.
So if we go up here, you're telling me I might get scales.
I mean, I don't know really a lot of tieflings with scales, so I mean, I really have no clue. It could be like a curse. You could have been born that way, which I mean, hell, you're already born ugly. No offense, but it's
The truth.
you're born ugly and you just get born uglier. It's a little confusing out in a lot of these smaller towns.
Not gonna lie, that kind of hurt.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut up for a little bit.
And then I'm gonna take a peek out the camp and try and look for if there's any other way in.
Yeah, you look through and there really isn't. So this cave is just more like a natural cavern. Nothing that it seems like they were able to, from what you can see, it almost as if they picked this area because it had this cavern. So it's not like they sought after it specifically. They just stumbled upon it. It looks natural, so you're not sure. It's like, the name's Adair, by the way. Sorry, I never got to introduce. We're going to be up here for about another hour, or however long you're willing to stay.
You stay with them the whole hour.
I might. Cause I kind of just we're waiting till nighttime, honestly.
Shit, I mean, that's an hour-long content right there.
I'm just gonna chill there.
An hour? How soon does Nick's character get back?
We'll say about this time is when you make your way back, and you can catch up with him.
I have something to tell you.
He's got this, just doofy-looking kobold walking away happily with this, dripping pouch of food. He's like,
If I walk up to you and I see that, I'm gonna hear you say you've got something to tell me. I'm gonna say, is it about him?
Well, sort of, but I mean, he told me there were eggs down there, and he said they were. I'm pretty sure. Honestly, it was pretty hard to understand him. Yeah, I think he's a kobold, but he said there were, I think, to be large eggs down there, and also that they were going to skin my elf friend.
I think there's more prisoners than just the elf friend too. So I also learned that there were prisoners down there, or that's where they keep their prisoners. So that is good to know. But more eggs is anything. I also learned of an important figure in this organization named Cyanrath. He seems to be kind of a head honcho.
Cyanrath. Do you know anything more about him besides the leader?
Just that he holds a lot of power. He could potentially be the blue half dragon you fought, but it's only a speculation.
Well, alright, that's still good information. We know a little bit more. But I'd really like to get into that cave as soon as
At about this point, your guys' conversations kind of cut off. There's a very harsh, agonizing scream that's being echoed out from the inside of the cave. It's cut short. Gurgles.
Can I insight if it's male or female?
It's female.
God.
After a few minutes of just kind of like wondering what happened, you see a few of these more like half-cloaked individuals come out, holding this woman kind of, not really with any concern for her. She's very dead. Very dead. And they throw the body outside, and you can see they look over in your direction, and they go, "Hey, you two, enough sitting around. Get this body and bury it. We gotta get the half-elf tied up to that stake, so clear it out and get it ready, and we're posting them up."
Alright, well, I'll go. Wait, he said they're posting the half-elf up on a stake?
The X. They're gonna repost him up. You're not really sure why.
Okay,
Probably has to do something with the body.
I'm gonna grab the body and I'm gonna take it away and pretend that, but I'm just gonna hide it somewhere so that like it's like burying, no one's gonna find it, but I don't have to spend the time digging a hole.
I'm gonna dig the hole.
Go ahead and do a sleight of hand check, and I'm gonna let you make an athletics check. Whoever rolls the highest is gonna be the route that we go.
That's not very high.
Might beat it. 60%. Would you roll, baby?
I mean, I got a 12.
A 12? I've got a 13.
Okay, so you find that he's actually a lot faster at digging a hole than you are on trying to find. And hey, it might just be that you're not used to disposing of bodies.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But so while you're trying to find it, you're thinking about it. You just see he's just digging this hole, and you're like, we might as well. So you help him out. You finish the rest of it. You put the body in, and then kind of bury it up.
What time of day is it now?
I mean, it's still roughly about evening. It's only been maybe about half an hour or so since you guys have actually gotten into the camp. So time, it's not moving quickly. Eventually, they bring the elf out, the half elf out, and you can see.
Like right then, like right after.
Well, yeah, they're gonna tie him up like pretty quickly. So they wanted you guys to bury the body, get the.
But the stake. Can we sabotage that in any way?
Yeah.
Because
that's what I wanted to do before they got.
Although, while we're finishing up burying the body,
yeah, can
I turn to him and say, I want to sabotage the stake, but I'm having trouble seeing past him getting off the stake. Because we're in an army full of them.
Well, how are they tying him down to the?
So they're gonna tie him. They're gonna tie him by his wrists, and that's it. And they're just gonna tie him by his wrists.
Not the ankle.
Okay.
You actually can tell that it's a little bit elevated, so he dangles. His feet don't touch the ground. So part of what that does is put a lot of extra pressure on the body because he's basically either having to let himself kind of hang, which puts a lot of pain on the wrists, or he's having to use his feet to keep himself up, which eventually will tire him out.
Okay.
So yes.
Is there rope already? Is there rope already tied to the post, like that they're gonna use to tie him down with?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's rope already affixed to it. I mean, really, it's more of like a, not really rope, but more of like a leather clasp.
Do I have anything of the sort that could resemble that whatsoever?
What type of equipment do you have? And I might be able to maybe help you out here. Walk me through maybe what you have in equipment.
Still too, is even if we
do you have like any tools or any?
I have a flute.
Great.
I have cook utensils, an explorer's pack.
Okay. Does anyone have, what kind of tools do you have since you're here? I wouldn't include you.
I've got a water skin if I could shred it up. I've also got hemp rope. I've got traveler's clothes if I could cut strands of that. I mean, none of it's really leather, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
God,
unless you guys had thieves' tools or leather
Oh.
workers, I would say leather working tools. Thieves'
Oh, yeah.
tools are carpenters.
No, yeah, no, I don't.
Then
have
I would allow you guys to kind of, maybe manipulate it.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I mean, the clasps are going to be pretty easily noticed if you guys tamper with them.
But
There's
that's
a lot to
my
tamper.
thing too. Is even if we get them off though, then what's our plan? Is
And it's not like they're lock and key. They literally they affix to his wrists. They tighten around. You kind of it's more of like a belt, I would say. So you just kind of affix it through the brace and tighten it. And he kind of hangs there. So to describe this individual, so you guys can get a better understanding of what he looks like. So he's half elven. One of the biggest indicators of that human elvish heritage is the pointed ears, but also the facial hair that he's growing, which Arboreus, you are incapable of growing. He's got very short, kind of black hair. The facial hair is more of just kind of like a rounded goatee around the front of his mouth. The sides are kind of stubbled just a bit because obviously it's been maybe a few days of travel, but you can see he kind of keeps it pretty much just close around his face. He's got this white and blue series of robes that are, for the most part, tight-fitting to his form, but they look they make him look educated. He's got leather braces that kind of surround his shoulders, his wrists, his belt, and then especially his legs are, for the most part, pretty much well covered. And he's got these leather boots. His hands look very, I would say, more kind of like you can tell that he gets into fights, or it looks as if he gets into fights because his hands kind of are cut up in different areas, especially around the knuckles. He's very bloody, bruised. He's got a massive cut across his torso, so the tunic that he's wearing is actually pretty much stained across the front of his body. It doesn't look like he's bleeding at the moment. He looks very exhausted. They hand him to you, and they watch you kind of tie him up, and then you can see with almost like little care, they just walk off.
Wait, they hand the elf to us?
Yeah, and then they watch you tie him up. They don't do any of the work. But once it's done, they just leave. They just walk away.
I'm
There's still the guards that are outside, so they can still see him, but they don't post anyone up against this prisoner.
I'm going to look at him. I'm going to spit on the ground underneath him after he's tied up, and I'm going to say, "We're here to save you." And I'm going to whisper it to him.
You see, he kind of... Why?
It's Boris. I owe you.
Go home.
I'm going to...
You're not done. Go home.
He's not done, is what he said.
That's what he said.
Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Can I insight that shit?
Sure.
Actually, I'm just gonna say too. What do you mean you're not done, dude? What?
Don't. We can't just have a casual conversation.
See, so he's kind of like hanging at this point. And
My
he kind of,
natural 20. I'm gonna smack him across the face.
how hard?
Lightly.
Not
but
lightly.
enough that it makes a noise.
Like it's his turn on.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Exactly.
No.
I'm trying to learn what I can. You don't understand. Go home. There's too much at stake.
I'm gonna put my hands into my pockets, and I'm going to try and do something that's probably extremely difficult to do.
Okay.
And I'm going to go. I wanna. Okay. So I'm just gonna explain the whole thing. So I want to try and sneak. His hands are tied. Shit. Well. Okay.
It'd be hard to cut.
I'll still do. Maybe he'll find something. He'll be able to do something with this. I want to see if I can I'm gonna go for a punch, but pull it so it doesn't really damage him. But I want to try and sneak a little a little knife in his pant, in between his pant belt.
Okay.
Go for a punch, but then just slide it right in between so it stays there.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand roll.
Can I attempt to help him by getting in the line of vision of the guard?
Yeah, go ahead and do an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Before I do it, I'm gonna say, shout something upset.
Absurd.
Actually, don't cause attention over here. I lied.
I was about to say something really absurd.
Just pretend you hate it. A nat 20.
Yeah, you just slip it in.
Very well.
You can tell he kind of looks down and goes, "Stop.
And then I'm gonna leave.
Please, go. And as you kind of walk away, he goes, no.
What?
Go home. Leave me here. If Nassim put you up to this, tell him I'm fine. There's much to learn. You can tell at this point, he's very weak. Physically very weak. He's pushing himself. He's very motivated. He is in no shape or form able to resist you if you are to forcibly remove him from this game.
I'm going to.
You very much can do that.
I have two
He
health
cannot
potions.
fight back. He cannot fight back. He's too weak.
No, we don't want to give him health potions. Now, here's the. So there's two
You're
guards
good, bro.
watching us. Is there anyone else watching us right now?
No,
Just
currently.
those two guards.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn to Boris. And Boris, I need you to distract those guards somehow. They need to look away from here.
Give me.
Can I try and hear them? Or am I too
Might hear
high?
my
Go ahead and make a perception.
I'm gonna
You wouldn't be
light
able to
this
hear
bitch
them,
on
but
fire.
you
Wait,
can actually.
let's
maybe
read this.
notice.
This is a good conversation.
I'll let you notice.
What are you doing? Wait, what are you doing?
4. So you're trying to look, but at this point you can tell there's a very awkward, like Adair's trying to kind of keep a conversation going. Like he kind of ruined it a little bit ago. He's trying to maintain it, and so it's really distracting you from kind of keeping an eye out. He's not a bad conversationalist. You guys are actually he's having a good conversation, just mostly with himself at this point. While you're looking, He's like, yeah, I mean, the hunters, they bring in antelope and other game that they can, bring in, and it's great and all. And, I mean, Greenus is probably the biggest town that we've ever attacked so far. I'm sure we're only going to keep going bigger and bigger from here. But, yeah, did you hear that they caught that half-elf? And he's just, rambling at this point. And you're just, trying to look.
I just keep hitting him with a legend. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, absolutely. You kind of turn. It's like, yeah, it's mostly you having to turn back to acknowledge his comments because there's so many.
So Nick asks me to distract. And
Okay.
I'm gonna say I'll try and do something to distract those two at first, but give me something to light this thing on fire because I will do this as a last resort to save my friend here.
I'll give you the flint and tinder then.
Nick gives me the flint and tinder, but I'm gonna fuck. I mean, what do I even fucking do?
The flint and tinder, or you just.
No, I know. I don't need
Oh, how are you gonna distract them?
yeah.
I need you to get them in a conversation.
Where are the guards?
Or piss them off, or tell them there's people fighting around the way, or
Where are the
anything.
guards?
They're,
The guards are by the mouth of the cave, so they're a distance,
So it's
but they don't look like they're
this is the
watching you.
cave.
They just can see you.
the guards are
They
here,
can see you.
and we're here.
It just doesn't look like they're watching you.
I'm gonna go walk over in their direction, but then kind of move to this side so that if they're looking,
Just
they're
try
not.
and-
They're not looking towards the
Trying to pull the line of sight.
the line of sight is away from the.
Okay.
And then-
Go ahead and make a charisma check.
This is not.
This is hard.
This is gonna be an operation, baby. Let's do it.
I got a 2.
You got a 2. You see as you kind of walk out in their way,
I'm watching
you
so-
notice the two kind of look at
I'll
each
wait
other.
until you succeed.
They look back at you,
Well,
and then they just kind of leave it at that.
that's all they do.
Yeah, so they look at you, they look at each other, and then they look back at you. But you notice that as you're kind of making your way out. You walk out and greet them.
Yeah. What? I'm gonna try and switch my voice. I don't know how that would work in terms of because I noticed that these guys give each other a little glance.
Mhm.
I'm a little nervous, so I don't want to use my normal voice just in case. Is there how would that work in terms of roleplay? Am I allowed to just try and switch my voice up
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah, depending on maybe to the extent that you're doing it, I might call for certain roles as a byproduct of that.
Okay.
It just depends. So feel free to go for it.
Well, hello there.
You see one of them looks left, and he takes his right hand and kind of reaches out towards you with his 5 fingers outstretched like this. And he goes, praise.
Can I insight that? I need to work on leaving it on the ground, but I got a 16.
16. You get the impression on just body movement, kind of like context, that this is a kind of like hand gesture that seems to be important to the more uniform individuals. You just don't know why.
Does it look like he's waiting for me to reciprocate?
That's a really good question.
I'm gonna go 50-50. I'm gonna go praise. Now, I don't mean to bother you, but I think some kobolds were causing a ruckus out there, and
They always do.
well, I mean a little bit more. They were conspiring.
With what?
Well, to try and get into the cave. And
They're allowed in the cave.
well, I heard them talking about something they weren't supposed to. I think they got one of them got really upset. They said
They
something.
talk about a lot of things they're not supposed to.
Well, they were talking about an egg, a bunch of eggs down there.
You see they look back at each other. He kind of looks back, he goes, and you see he takes two fingers, his index and his middle finger, and he goes, I'll let Resonate know. And then he walks into the cave.
Okay. Then now it's only this guy out
Yeah,
here?
the other one goes, you can leave now.
House.
That's fine.
Okay.
You're free to go.
I'm going to like say, well, it was very nice meeting you, and then I'm gonna go praise, and then I'm gonna go and lean out, and as I lean out, I'm gonna try and pretend to slip and fall, and like fall on top of him and push him over.
Okay.
Can that be my kudo for it?
Okay.
Yeah, you're
go
watching.
ahead. Go ahead, and what I'm gonna have you do is make,
Boy, if I ever seen such.
because you're trying to push him. You're trying to push him over.
I'm trying to like pretend like I'm falling on top of him, basically.
But to push him.
But like I'm going praise, but like I like stumble and fall on top of him, and because
Is the goal to push him over?
the goal is my weight to push him onto the ground.
Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead and make an athletics check for me.
that's not a good roll for me.
He's just gonna catch you.
I got a unnatural one.
Unnatural one. That's good. You can see as you stumble into him, he actually like catches you and goes, dude, and kind of pushes you off. He's like, no,
I'm so sorry. It was a complete accident.
no,
All right,
you're starting to irritate me.
okay, I'm going to leave. Okay, I'm just gonna. I hope that was enough time. I'm gonna leave.
Okay. Back up and kind of start walking away.
We need the other one. He needs to look away still. My goal, I would wanted those two that were like the important ones watching. Like the second they're not looking, I want to
Well,
grab
They weren't looking.
the homeboy.
Because I went over to the side, so they were looking this way.
No, but even still, I don't think it would have been enough time because
I mean, it's
turning left and right their heads.
it's our.
like,
I feel like it's our best bet right now. You know,
uh,
like I mean, I'm gonna light this bitch on fire if it goes south. I told you.
do it,
So
do it, do
so
it, do it.
if we need to, and that's our escape plan, then Catray's fucked in the
I
tower.
need a moment to grab the prisoner.
How are you gonna get down, dog, with fire?
Yeah. So what do you guys like to do?
Do you come back to me or no? Well,
No, I'm going to after I push him, I'm going to hold the flint and steel in my pocket and be prepared to light this bitch up.
Okay.
And I'm actually
slide
gonna.
a hand roll.
Okay.
Because
What?
you got to keep that hidden. If
This-
you're near him.
Okay. Okay. Oh shit. An 11.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you keep it hidden. You can tell he's not really reading you up and down at the current moment. So you don't go almost entirely out of your way to kind of hold on to it. You just kind of loosely hold it, and maybe a little bit of a natural kind of standstill.
Hakon is stressed right now because
Yeah.
I'm standing in front of the prisoner.
Yeah.
I've got the one guard there still. The other one is still in the cave, right?
The other one went into the cave, and then I fell on top of that guy.
Yeah, you can. I can see a Boris still, right? Too. Can I make a perception check for Lux? Do I see him? Or no?
Make a perception check. In fact, seeing a tiefling in a camp full of humans is not really that hard.
It's
No,
kind of
it is
cocked.
cocked, yeah. That sucks. 'Cause that was
Oh, it was on a 20, dude.
That's gonna be a 11.
An 11. Yeah, you see him. He's in the watchtower, smoking with a guard. He's got a pipe in his hand, and he's got both his arms. He's got both his arms hanging over, and he's kind of looking around. But every few seconds, he's doing this. Kind of brings the wooden pipe out, and it's just kind of like a classic wooden pipe, so it's nothing crazy. It's like, and just every few seconds, you can see the other person. You can just see the head of him. He's kind of like posting up against like one of the little like beams. He's just like,
I'm gonna walk away from the prisoner and walk towards that guard that's still in front of the cave. And
Okay.
as I do that, can I try and get his attention, Boris? And I'm gonna look at you, and I'm gonna try and like wink at you, and then nod my head to the prisoner. And I'm gonna approach the guard, and I'm gonna go up to him, and I'm gonna say, "We pay assholes to do shit like that all day," and point up to them smoking up there, the two of them.
he looks up and he goes, right.
And then I'm going to take my hand and pat him on the back
Mhm.
and say, "Come on, big man, isn't this what you're here for?"
That's
You
not
better
my
start.
job.
You better start.
I'm gonna
Shit.
wait for you to interact before you.
And then I'm gonna say, "Well, then what is your job here?"
The dragon does not concern himself with the sheep.
The dragon this, the dragon that. You know, you don't seem like you're know very much about dragons. You just kind of stand here and look tough, right? I mean, because I was talking to the kobolds, and they said the last time that you guys had to get involved in the fights, that they weren't even that scared of you.
Let them thin themselves.
No, there's always gonna
We
be
care little. There's always more to find.
Exactly.
Have I seen you two somewhere? You both
No.
look
Are you
quite
shit?
familiar.
I have a mask on.
You didn't move, dude.
I didn't wait. I thought
No.
Ethan was waiting.
No.
You weren't waiting.
No,
I'm gonna leave.
No, you're here now. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna leave now. I'm just gonna say, you saw someone with a big skull on the head. Yeah, sure. And then I'm gonna leave.
I haven't seen that guy before. I only joined last week.
This week. Right. You see, he kind of looks him up and down now at this point.
I'm gonna turn my head into his field of vision and go, "I'm right here, big guy."
Can I get that at disadvantage?
Yes.
And he goes, right. Where did we pick you up again?
Can I make a? There's no geography check.
I will
so
allow you to make either a history check. Actually, nope. It would just be a history check.
a history check. That's it.
Yep, would be a history check.
That's right. We're using the big boy. Come on, baby. Oh,
Okay, I mean,
that
that's
might
not
be alright.
terrible.
That might be alright.
11.
Yeah, that minus one.
Ah,
Nice.
shit.
Dude, I could have picked history for proficiency.
You got an 11.
So I got an 11.
11.
I'm trying to think.
You don't remember the direction that they came from. You know that they were leaving.
No, I know the dragon attacked from
You know the dragon attacked. You really have no clue where. I mean, you know where they attacked the town, but you have very little idea of where they came from, like what direction they came from. So you think to yourself, and there's 3 towns that are nearby. That would be maybe good options. There is Easting, which is directly east of Greenest and pretty far. There's Ryabor, which is between Easting and Greenest, but closer to Easting. And then there's Verdusk, which is northeast of Greenest, which starts to make your way up further north, as if you were trying to go to like Scornabel, Elturel, maybe even start heading west from that point to Baldur's Gate before trying to maybe even travel up the coast.
You said the last one heads towards Baldur's Gate?
Well, Verdusk heads up to like Elturel, but
Which one would
from
be-
Elturel you would go west to Baldur's Gate. So Verdusk is your first town before you start hitting the pockmarket of civilized regions. Everything south of Verdusk is just completely more like open frontier lands.
And that was the second one, right?
That was the third.
That was the third one.
There's Ryabor and Easting, which they're close. They're pretty close.
I'm gonna go with the third one. What was the third one? The name of it?
Verdusk.
Verdusk. I'm gonna say I have from Bear Dusk.
Right. Well, then you remember we let Lenithon have his fun. The only fun he had at Bear Dusk.
Yeah, you tell me that about that big asshole again too. You're gonna piss me off, man.
How distracted is he?
He's not distracted.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of.
You can tell he's very alert.
He's very alert.
Well, I'm just gonna kind of chill out and like hide like out of his peripheral, like near the half elf.
Yeah, it's cagey. It's cagey.
So how far away from him, from the cave, would you say you are?
How far away is the post from the cave?
Maybe about 40 feet.
Okay, so I'd say I'd be 40 feet. Say if Nick is the radius, the center of the radius, I'd be like 40 feet out in like a different direction from Nick.
Okay.
Actually, I'll walk 10 more feet
Now,
just so it's not
where-
quite like if you.
Can
hit
I
for-
can I make a perception check into the cave?
Sure.
Does there appear to be anywhere in the cave? Well, actually, let me just make a perception check. Never mind, it's a 4.
There's not like a really good sense of like lighting. So while you do see that the cave has a very broad entrance, what you see is that the ceiling kind of drops a bit, and that's kind of when it starts to darken. You're not sure if the tunnel or the cave descends or if it just gets smaller, but there's not really a lot of immediate kind of light past that, so it's really difficult for you to tell.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna turn to the guard and say, "Well, you don't seem to be very fun, big guy. So I'm gonna go
start
and play
lighting
you
an
a little
arrow.
tune."
While I see the conversation ending, I'm gonna start lighting an arrow. I'm gonna aim it towards
Whoa,
the important
whoa.
tent, and I'm gonna fucking light this bitch on fire and run for my half elf and get the fuck out of there because I don't see any more opportunities after this.
Are
Okay.
you?
I'm positive, man.
Okay, go ahead and make an attack roll.
Oh, baby. Oh,
Should I use the heavy dice or the big boy or my big
No,
boy?
use your dice, dude.
Okay, I got a like 24.
24?
Yeah.
You fire this arrow and it just cuts through.
But
Part of
does
the
it
tent.
light any of the tent on fire?
Thank you. It cuts into the tent, and it's in the tent.
Does it light anything on fire?
At the current moment, we don't know.
I'm gonna take my lute and sit down in the mouth of the cave, and I'd love to hear the way this instrument echoes. And can I start playing the lute?
He's gonna go ahead and make a perception check. He goes, "Please leave." And he kind of looks down as you kind of squat down with your lute.
I want to sit crisscross applesauce
Yeah.
down there with the lute. Oh yes,
Is he
sir.
distracted now?
And I'm
He
gonna
looks very
close my
annoyed.
eyes. And I'm gonna start. Oh, I love being on the open trail. With
Make a
these
perception. Make a
assholes
perception
on
check
top
with
of us.
disadvantage.
Me?
Yes.
Wait, a perception check?
Yep.
Oh, because my eyes are closed. Oh, no, that's a 2. And that's a 13.
Yikes, dog.
Even with my bonuses, that is only a 4.
A 4.
He's going to hit me in the face, isn't he?
No. You're playing and you're kind of rocking back and forth. Eventually, a pretty big hand grabs your shoulder, very firmly grasps it. You feel stuff kind of very sharp and very rough digging into the blade. Kind of like, jeez.
Does
And
it?
it kind of is very uncomfortable. You immediately look to see who's grabbed you, and you see kind of crouched in front of you at this point, who's walked his way. Because you were making noise, it was covering his sound, especially because of his armor.
Is it Cyan Wrath?
And you see this massive half dragon standing in
Cyan
front
Wrath!
of you,
Why do you burn me like that every time?
and he goes,
I remember you.
You're fucked.
Me?
"Where's your elf friend?"
Oh, he's not here. I came because I actually wanted to duel you that time.
Picks you up and slams you against the wall at this point.
Can I leave?
You
Can I
see
take my
a
elf and leave?
series? You can
Does
see
everyone's focus on us right now?
Dude, that fire better
There's
set
a
off,
seri-
dog.
There's
Oh,
a
no.
series of guards.
I am.
There's a series of guards. You can now tell that there's a commotion happening. There's a series of these different individuals that come out. They all have these masks that cover the top part of their face that have 5 curved, like, kind of strands
Nah, not
on
the vegetables,
each
bro.
part of it. So it kind of wraps around the front of the top of their head. They have these curved blades in their hand that kind of wrap around the front of their knuckles. And you can see this individual looks at you. You can see another individual start to step out of the kind of like the darkness of the internal of the cave.
Is it Resnir?
You see a black half dragon, followed by a tiefling. The tiefling is covered in these black scales that kind of arc or kind of curve around his forearms. For the most part, you can tell he's got like a tight-fitting robe that only covers kind of his torso. And the scales wrap around his throat and kind of curve up one side of kind of like the head, but not on his face, just kind of curves around the back of the head. And these black scales look like they're natural, but they're unnatural for this being.
I'm held up by Cyan Rat, but I'm gonna look over to him. Sit drip, bro.
She, the half dragon walks up, which has a little bit more of an effeminate form to her, and she has these massive horns on the side of her face that curve inwards, completely covered in these purple robes and an intricate kind of armor. And she looks and goes, "Are you positive?"
I don't know if I can get your
And
journal.
you can see Cyanrath, the blue half dragon, goes, "Very. My steward, his companion in greenest."
I would have grabbed the elf and left. I'm putting this down now. I have
At this point, he turns and goes, "Lock him up with the rest."
No, I don't like cages, bro.
They grab you, and they actually are going to start to turn. At this point, I need you to go ahead and you're going to have, we're going to say, 2 actions worth of opportunity to free Leosin, because they're going to take him to that area.
Okay.
And they're all going to move, so you do not have a lot of time. So you have 2 actions. What would you like to do?
Well, I'd like to get him off.
Okay,
I'm gonna pee real quick.
I'll just use a knife and cut off the wrists.
okay. Go ahead and make a attack roll.
Or I'll use
Attack
my
roll.
rapier, so I get a higher stat.
That is to pierce. Not really going to help.
Okay, I'll just use my knife. I still use dex though.
Unless you want to crucify him too.
Okay, I got a 22.
22 to hit. That hits the leather. Go ahead and roll damage for me.
Is it a D4?
It is a D4, yes, plus your dexterity.
Can I use any
8.
sister?
When you're up in the tower, you see stuff's about to go down.
I got an 8.
I just because I could release him with my fire. That's what I was thinking.
You have someone with you.
Just kill him.
Could. Well, what's going to happen?
Nothing if I slit his skull.
Really? Okay. What does that do?
I did an 8.
Let's do it.
8 damage.
8 damage. Yep. So you cut through the leather brace, and he drops down, and you have to kind of hold on to him.
And then I'm going to use my other action to dash. Right?
Not really a lot of dashing when you're carrying the full body weight of someone. He's very weak. He can't really. That's why I said he can't resist. If you guys had decided to just be like, yeah, we're taking you. I know you want to stay. We're taking you anyways. So he's very dependent on you.
Hear me out. What if I add a key point to use my Step of the Wind to combine and make it just a normal one?
I would allow you to make an athletics check.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd allow you to make an athletics check.
Fucked.
With no disadvantage.
Okay.
That's what I would allow you to do. So what do you do?
I got a 16. Or
16? 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's cutting the ropes.
Yeah, you see he cuts the ropes, he grabs him, and
Katrina's about to light this bitch on
immediately
fire
starts
with
to
some
having him kind of like, I would say he actually has him kind of picked up. You can tell he's very swiftly moving with this individual. In fact, he's seemingly moving a lot faster than you would have imagined, knowing his size and the body weight of what he has with him. He's moving a little bit quick, and he's kind of maneuvering around. What do you do?
I want to firebolt the cross because he's off now, right?
He's off. Yeah.
I want to firebolt the cross.
What does the subtle spell do?
The subtle spell.
We've honestly improved, so we've gone so far.
I'm pretty sure you don't have to cast it with.
It's like no VSM.
Yeah, no verbal, somatic, or material components. So all you have to do is. I don't even know.
Dude, pretend it was the other guy. Shoot it.
I'm pretty sure you still have.
When you cast a spell, you spend 1 sorcery point to cast it without any somatic or verbal components.
So if it had a material, you'd still have to.
Yeah.
And it's somatic or verbal components. So you have to choose. So if Firebolt requires both, you have to pick which one you're removing.
Somatic is just moving your hands, dude, so it's a lot easier to hide that.
Well, I mean, you're still going to be conjuring a bolt of fire and throwing it. You're just not going to be saying it when you do it.
Firebolt.
So which one?
You can find a way to
You
sneak a
can,
firebolt
just which
in
one?
seconds.
If I did that, could I use Sleight of Hand? To maybe because I have the pipe, I could just.
Nah, you're reaching, dude. Say firebolt into the pipe.
Get him to look somewhere else, dude. Get him to look off into the distance.
I would say with the fact that he is talking to you, it would be very. It's you're not really hiding it. If you cast a firebolt, the spell will be seen by him. So you can.
Dude, this guy's chill. He's probably gonna be on your side anyways, dude. Just do it.
Hey, there's a cool man.
You know what? I'm not even gonna summon spells. I'm just gonna straight firebolt.
Okay. So he's talking. He's just like, yeah, and you know they have these plans. They're gonna load up these wagons. Ah! And you cast the spell, and he looks. And he goes, "What are you doing?"
What?
He sits for a second, and he goes, "Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Save yourself, dude. Hurry.
Did you see what's happening down there? We should probably go.
No. You stay.
I'm gonna leave.
You're up on. You would have to jump off or go down the ladder. You're up there with him.
Can I slide down the ladder?
He's gonna get splinters. Roll a splinter
Go
check.
ahead and roll initiative with him because he's gonna try to prevent you from moving.
Baby.
Oh!
That's a big roll.
That's
Big roll.
22.
What do you want to do? You go first.
I want to slide down the ladder.
The ladder.
Fucking
You just want to push past him.
Yeah, I'll push past him.
Okay. Go ahead and
Wouldn't it just be a dash? If you
it would.
He gets an opportunity.
He does get an opportunity to attack against you.
But there's no way he'll down you in one hit, dude. And no one's gonna know what
He's gonna
happened.
attempt to grapple with them.
And your strength isn't good though.
yeah.
So he just has to make an athletics roll, and if he hits your armor class, he grapples you. So that is going to be. That's going to be a 7.
Oh! Ethan, why'd you egg us on so long?
So he jumps forward and tries to grab onto you, and you take that opportunity and immediately drop under and move forward, and you kind of push past him, and he kind of puts himself to where he kind of hangs in like a little bit, where like his body kind of dangles a smidge as he hits the corner of like the guard tower. You take that opportunity when he turns around, look, you're already at the ladder. You're like, and just slide. He takes that opportunity because he was left alive, and he goes, "Intruders! Intruders!" At that point, they see the firebolt fly forward, in which you're still being held up, and it hits the X and just bursts into flames. At that point, you can see Cyanrath looks over at it, sees there's no body on that.
Does it start a fire?
Yeah, the post is on
But
fire.
is everything else lying around it, like the grass? If it's a grassy plains, it's got to.
It is right now just isolated at the current immediate span to that. And he looks over at it and he goes, "Damn you!" And he's going to go ahead. He pulls out his great sword. He goes, "Hold him here. Where are your friends?"
Friends, where are my friends? Where are you guys at?
He's gonna go ahead and he's gonna strike you.
Oh, the mighty Cyanthar wouldn't hit an opponent who couldn't defend himself.
Yes, he would.
Ah, the
And
mighty
current-
Cyanthar is not mighty.
The Cyan Wrath would definitely punch you in the face. That is going to go ahead and be a 13 to hit.
As he does that, friends. And
No.
I
So he
Spider-Man
punches
that.
you square in the chest, but you tighten and just like it punches, but you don't really feel a lot of pain. You bear it
I'll take it.
because part of your armor class is your dexterity and your constitution, right?
Yeah.
So you take that hit square,
Okay.
and he punches you, and he goes, "Ugh," and he's gonna run off into the camp to try to search for other people. At this
no,
point,
hey, come back.
you guys can see a tiefling running his way down. You hear the tiefling behind you go, well.
Do I? Oh. Well.
I hope
Can
he
I
likes
insight
And
it.
it
that?
kind of
Can I-
takes
can
you
I
a second.
insight that?
Sure,
Can I
go for
insight
it.
that?
Go for it.
I want to insight that because I want this.
You run
Side.
down. I need, at this point, the whole camp's on alert.
Do I roll initiative?
We're not in combat.
I need you to roll a stealth check with disadvantage. I need you to roll a stealth check.
Fuck. And I rolled an 18 on my.
I'm gonna go for it real quick.
That was the sound of recognition.
Well, you know that tiefling,
It's cocked.
and I'll just point to it. We all see him running, right?
Okay,
Let's
I got
just say
I got a
he's
14.
watched me skin a few people alive.
I got a 14.
14?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I got
report
14
that and
as
say
well.
Lux would never do something so distasteful.
Right. You don't know him.
I don't think you do either.
Pretty sure I do. Pretty sure.
I knew that guy had something to do with you, motherfucker. I knew it.
Call it a familial intuition.
What? I can't wait to find this out.
What'd you roll?
character.
14.
14, you roll a 14?
Yeah.
You're moving with Leosin, and you're moving as fast as you can. Eventually, you get surrounded by a series of these masked guards.
How many?
Maybe 4 or 5, but you have Leosin, and it's a lot for you. The same happens to you. At this point, there really isn't much you guys can do.
Can I
These raiders have caught you.
step up? Can I disengage?
You have an entire camp to then run through, and the camp's now in full alert.
I didn't make it very far.
No. They rushed out and they were able to find you.
What about that fire? Whatever happened with the fire in the tent? Did it die?
At this point, you actually start to see a lot of smoke coming out from the tent. At which point, Cyanrath looks over and goes, I'm gonna beat the one that burnt down my tent.
What about the pillar?
What pillar?
The FUG. Fucking the thing holding the person.
The post?
Yeah.
Post is, for the most part, pretty black, pretty charred. Yeah, pretty burnt.
Can I?
They capture you. They take all of your gear from you,
Is this supposed to happen?
and they begin to guide you to a series of bone cages that they have on the other end of the camp.
I'm wailing the entire time. Like, I don't do cages, bro. This is not gonna be a
They
fun time.
force you into them, one
What
after
are we
the other,
supposed to
4 of
do?
you, into 4 separate cages. The cage has been almost like pockmarked it. So it's one big cage. It's really just 4 cages in one. They isolate the 4 of you together.
You definitely planned for us to get captured, didn't you?
I knew it could have happened. Yes. And in fact, it did happen. You guys have a brief period of time. You see Leosin, for the most part, just gives in. The 3 of you might be very frustrated, stressed, upset, scared, frightened. You might have these natural reactions to this type of experience. Leosin looks, for the most part, pretty defeated. And when they throw him in there, he kind of gets thrown. He's very weak, so It takes a while for him to even like force himself up as he kind of drags himself up to the side of the bone cage and kind of props himself up and just starts shaking his head.
Can I have a conversation?
Not at the current moment, because this black scaled tiefling makes his way up.
Okay. Let's go. I thought you said skin. Wait, new tiefling? No, it's the same one.
However, approaching you guys, you can tell he's put a mask to his face, and where you were able to see all these scales that were on him, he has taken some period of time to hide all of them. None of them are visible on his body. He's covered them with clothes.
Can I pause you real quick? I have to be really bad.
Okay?
I want to be here for
Yes,
Yeah, because I want to say
absolutely.
something too when you get back. So
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna pee really quick after it too.
Okay.
Dude, that's
No
fucking
problem.
This is, dude. I'm so okay. So, I mean, this is cool. How it's all. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, so just to give you guys a hint, it very much even could have happened to most people that play this game. Like, that play this adventure just verbatim. It is a written outcome, written opportunity. It does happen, so I obviously planned for it. No big deal that it happened. You may die. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's all dependent on you. I'm just here to guide you through it.
and it really just came down to rolls, dude. Like think about it. If you
That's
had rolled-
true.
If you had rolled
That's
17,
entirely true.
18, 19
And
on
I
your
will
stuff,
tell you,
would've
I
left
will
it.
tell you a part of it, which because we've come to play for a long time, an element of it that was affecting you. You were actually the one that gave you guys away. The reason why is because you were the one that fought Cyanide. So a lot of these guards knew about you, they knew of you, and they knew that you were an elf.
but what was I
So
supposed
the
to?
biggest part of that is that all these flat charisma rolls that I was having you roll,
Were
DC
really bad.
wasn't high. The DC was 5. The goal was just to be so confident that you could literally just push through it and just move on to the next person.
But we rolled
But with
really bad.
these guys, you had a -4 to those rolls. So eventually you rolled beneath it and they caught on. So they went to go tell Cyanrath that you guys were here. It was bound to happen with how close you guys got. Very evident. It is what it is.
No, I knew it was a risky business getting into that.
So while he's going to the bathroom,
Okay, wait. So as that guy walks in, I'm gonna be like pounding my whole body against the cages.
yeah, and you
And
actually
I'm
find the
screaming at
bones.
you.
The bones that this is made out of is not like human bones, cobalt bones. Like it's not. These are not really thin bones. These are massive, like rib cages. We're talking like these really big, like rib bones. Like you don't know if they come from like maybe any mammoths from where you're from. You've heard stories of giants, and you've now bear witness to the first dragon that you really have seen with your own human eyes, and so you don't know what these bones could have come from, but they're thick and sturdy. Whoever they put in these cages don't break out.
I am going to scream at Tulux. This guy says he knows you. He says you got familial bonds. What?
I need you to go ahead and make a saving throw for me right as you start talking.
Dude, don't tell that to a barbarian.
Hold on, I gotta figure out actually if you do need to make one.
Let me warm her up. So don't tell me it's the bones that I'm making a saving throw again.
You actually don't need to make any saving throw. What happens is, as you start talking, like almost within a few seconds, if you start talking, he turns and goes, "Silence," and you're like, nothing is happening. The sound has been completely cut off from where you're at.
Can I say it in a different language?
You can try, and no sound is coming from your area.
I'm
He
still
approaches you.
screaming, but his mask is on.
Mask is still on, and it covers his whole face. He's very tightly clothed. His horns are evident, which at this point you can see his horns have started to kind of curve a lot back, kind of behind the head, and they kind of almost look like they come to a point where they kind of arc around. Very tightly clothed, so you really can't see this individual's face. You don't really know, you can't really detect him too much, and he just kind of eyes you very silently. think we will maim you first. You will be the first to die.
I'm just gonna stare at him.
We mount his horns in my room after we rip them from his head.
Do I hear that?
Yeah, you can hear everything he says.
My eyes
you just can't talk.
My eyes are wide right now. I'm like, what have you done? What have you done to anger this man so much?
It's not me, it's him.
What has he done? What has pushed you to a point of family betrayal?
I'm gonna turn around and just sit down and think.
He moves over and he looks at you, and he actually gets down as he kind of like looks into the cage and kind of like looks around on the floor around your feet. He's hunched, and this individual is very sinister. You can tell this individual, as he's kind of eyeing you, is very in his own head.
I want to be sitting in like a meditative stance, kind of like how I would in the monastery, if I can.
I think if Signrath had stopped you, at which point his voice has completely changed for the third time that you've talked to him, that you've heard him talk. Just a smidge higher. It would have been so much easier on you. I won't make that mistake. Rest assured.
Well, death is quite the easy route.
And he kind of at this point just begins to walk off. He goes, remember the horns, please, in my room. And steps out. And at one point, I'll allow you to make a perception roll. And you, because you're watching him in silence.
Hey,
Baby, what is it? You said perception?
21. Okay, like a 7.
Walking away, you notice as he's leaving, at one point he does flick his finger and your sound comes back to you as he's dropped the silence spell that was kind of hovered a little bit in your area. And as he's walking away, he kind of has like this little... He keeps walking.
Are there any other guards in the room?
No, you're not in a room. You're outside.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
out.
you're outside. At this point, the guards, for the most part, kind of leave.
But there's none like near us, no?
No, they don't really stay. They don't have anyone posted on you.
Darn.
Signrath at this point kind of looks and goes, I'm going to have so much fun impaling every one of you on a stake.
You've got real problems, buddy. You were so angry, you know that?
I have
Blue
problems.
dragons are not that angry. Blue dragons are the nice
You
ones.
know nothing!
I know nothing. I heard, I don't
You
know.
will be the greatest sacrifice I've had to offer.
I'm the greatest, guys. Is my necklace still on?
Your necklace is still on.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I don't forget people who hurt my friends. And I'm pointing at reports here. Can I take the necklace off?
You can. You may take the necklace off whenever you choose.
I'm gonna take it off.
You watch as he reaches in underneath his clothes, which you guys weren't like strip search. They grabbed your weapons, they grabbed your packs, they grabbed everything that was out in the open. They took it off and they put it pretty close. They don't really have anywhere to store this stuff. So there's like a table and they just have all your gear kind of put together. You see as he kind of reaches through kind of his his robes and underneath, and he pulls this necklace out that has a kind of like it's like a white gem that is a little kind of, it looks cloudy and it looks like it's constantly moving on the inside, as if there's like smoke or even clouds or things that are kind of within. He goes and pulls that out and removes it.
Wait, why are you?
I need you to make a wisdom saving throw for me, please.
Is there anything I can get off of the necklace?
Only that you've never seen it before, and he's never talked about it. This is the first time you've ever noticed it, and it's very intricate to be something that, it's very out in the open. This isn't something that, like, you would have just like shopped up. Like, this is an interesting.
No,
thing.
I just took it off.
Yeah. So what'd you roll?
21.
21. Okay. Yep.
I'm gonna look at you and go, what?
Does it? Do I feel? Does it anything feel different?
No. Yeah, you just take it off. You don't really notice anything.
What is the necklace made out of? Like the loop holding it?
It's an intricate elven chain.
Could I use it as a lockpick?
No.
Our stuff is close.
Is the bone breakable?
No. It's very, very sturdy. Yeah, the bones. I would say the bones in circumference are maybe about like the size of like. I would say more like average human head. Round, like they're thick. So you're not sure what these bones came from that they used for it, but they did it on purpose to make sure that they're sturdy, so that they could they could quite literally leave you out in the open and not worry about you breaking out. With the added mental stress of being trapped in a bone cage. They're very
Do they have
particular.
floors?
No, they don't have like a flooring. It is staked into the ground. Again, these bones are pretty sturdy.
Is it
so
dirt though?
yeah, you're on dirt.
Didn't we dig out?
You could try. You could try.
Guys,
At this point, after a while, you see Leosin kind of, again, he's picked himself up. He's just kind of like, I was so clear. And he picks himself up. I said, go home. You idiots.
well, it looks like we're forced into a solution now, or we just die.
Thanks. This close to potentially learning so much more.
With what? Your life?
Ruined me.
It doesn't matter what you know if you're dead.
They weren't going to kill me. I was too important. Because I know enough to be worth it. And I could have known more.
Well, you should have told me that back then.
Wasn't worth saying at the time. I was hoping you would have just listened and trusted me.
How could I listen to someone who saved my life and just sit there and to my perception, let him die? I was raised a monk, you know that.
Yes, remove yourself from attachments. It makes life so much easier. The less you work with, the less attachments you throw into the world, the easier it is for you to make the right decision.
You've been spending too much time with these people in the cave over there.
You know nothing. Well, now we must.
So you were trying to become like the yellow tiefling with the scales on it, huh?
No. I was trying to. You guys don't understand what you've gotten yourself into.
Why did they have you staked up like that?
Kind of looks around. Where did you come from? Why are you here? I'm sure Nassim sought you, so are you from Greenest?
Yeah, yes.
Well, what's left of it?
Yeah.
The people that attacked your home are doing so for a reason. They've been tearing up the entire countryside, moving up north of the Sword Coast for a purpose. I was this close to validating that purpose.
Not every purpose
The
needs to be
world.
validated, though.
The world is in danger. So yes, it is. It absolutely was necessary. And the three of you had squandered it.
Well, there's no point in dwelling on
Those
the
individuals,
past.
and he points towards the cave, are fanatics. Followers of a chained goddess who is so angry at her torment. They're seeking the power of dragons. For what purpose, I have no clue. But I know enough about that which they ascribe their worship to know that they're not to mess with. They're not to try them. And you guys just walked in like a bunch of bumbling idiots.
Well, it was a little more complicated than that.
Right, yes, a little bit more complicated than that. Please enlighten me how much more complicated I had it.
Well, we had a plan.
Yes. Oh, I see how well your plan worked. You were up in a tower getting the entire camp realized that you were here. You were about to let him die, from what it looked like. And you were about to let yourself die.
And your plan has you the pulp of a vegetable right now, so I don't see how you're any different from us, Leosin. And unless you tell us, what the fruits of your plan was going to be, because in my head,
Well, I wish I
you
could
would be
learn.
escaping-
I wish I
scaly.
could have learned.
But
all I
answer
know,
me this only: why does the yellow tiefling have 3 different voices?
I spent maybe a few minutes with him. I don't know. You gave me no opportunity to learn. All I know is that he's important. He's important to Resmir, the black half dragon, and she's important. Out of the people that are organizing these raiders, everyone, and he points to the other half of the camp, they're just hired mercenaries. All of them. Every human that came here. Almost none of them care for what's really going on. If they knew, would they continue? Maybe. Maybe not, if the pay was good. But in here, in that cave, what they're doing, she's important. He's important. And I could have learned more.
Well, there's not a lot we can do now.
You're right. But I faintly recall, and he kind of loosens a bit of his tunic, I faintly recall being gifted something earlier, and he pulls out a knife, a dagger, and he's gonna slip it into his, he's gonna slip
That
it,
came in so close.
he's gonna slip it into his, his clothes, and then he's gonna pull another one out of his boot.
Yo,
and do
he
the
came.
same thing.
What?
He's got 2 knives, motherfucker.
Same thing. He goes, we're gonna have to wait.
I should have kept that knife on myself.
Let the man talk.
At this point, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Now is not really the best time to leave, but we're going to have to leave tonight. That much you've made very clear. So, enjoy. How are you feeling, by the way?
Why do you care?
Great.
Was there a purpose to you asking him how he felt?
I was trying to extend the common pleasantry. Sorry if it seemed off-putting.
I'm gonna look at you and I'm gonna say, well, apparently Lux skins people, so I don't know that we should be asking him how.
Well, yeah, actually, we do have a bit of catching up to do with you. What's really going on here?
I skin people.
Well, you're related to the man who's a part of this whole scheme, and you refuse to disclose any information
So
to
wait.
us.
You're telling me if your father decided to kill children, you also kill children?
No, but
that makes sense.
No, but I'd at least expect you to have some sort of knowledge on why your father killed the children, or on something. A little piece.
First of all, that is not. He has no family. None of you.
Well, what happened?
I don't like to talk about those things.
Well, you,
I like to leave them in the past.
well, you need to tell us something.
All you need to know is that he's a sick person.
What made you leave? What made you disown him as your family?
Just seeing him become the monster he is.
And where's the rest of your family?
Gone.
Dead?
Reduced to atoms.
Well,
Did you just?
That was
No,
out
no,
of character,
no,
dog.
I'm
That's
messing
out
around,
of character.
I know, I'm messing around.
well, you're not the only one here, but that's why I'd like you to disclose more information, because not to open up any past wounds, but this is very serious and our lives are at stake, so if anything
Oh, so
happens-
now the stakes are here? Now they're here? Great. Maybe we should disclose our past history with our fanatical families.
Well,
Maybe roughly, I don't know, an hour ago? Would that have helped?
they know nothing. Well, that's his problem, Laura. How are we to know?
I'm starting to like this guy.
May the gods have mercy on my patience and my soul. Look, we're gonna have some time, so please shut up for maybe a few hours, so that I can just relax before we get ready to move.
We're gonna wait that long to leave.
It's not even nightfall.
Yeah, we got here pretty quickly and executed the whole ordeal pretty quickly.
Look, I appreciate Nassim's worry for me. What I don't appreciate is understanding that I brought myself here willingly.
Well, I
And
understand.
now you guys, whether you know it or not, have just put yourself into the middle of something far greater than yourself, than your own. You could have stayed the rest of your lives in Greenest, and they would have just carried on. But now you've made yourself part of it. So we're going to work together. We're going to get out of here, and then we are going to have a conversation back at Greenest. But for now, shut up. Simple. Am I at least understood? I care little if you're agreeing with me. I care little if you prefer to listen to what I have to say. Do you understand that I just need quiet from you for a bit of time?
We understand,
Yeah.
man. All right.
Relax the flow.
Please.
You have a plan at least.
He's
At this
so
point-
smart.
At this
knows
point,
everything.
he kind of turns himself from you guys and just kind of, at this point, because he needs to recover, so he's kind of resting and relaxing. It's going to be maybe several hours before it's nightfall.
A short rest?
You guys will get a short rest, but you guys haven't lost any hit points,
Yeah.
so
Get my cantrip.
yeah, you get your cantrip back. Wow. So we're gonna go ahead and take a break. We're gonna go ahead and take a break, guys. We always take kind of like a half-hour break, so we will, if for something happens, we'll post it in the chat. We do appreciate anyone that is, hanging out with us. Feel free to go, fill up on your drinks, have some snacks, restroom break, do what you got to do. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back in roughly about half an hour. So we will be back. I'm gonna put a timer on it since it's basically 8 o'clock. We'll do 8:30 on the dot. So we'll be back then.
Sounds good. Okay, you want to go to drive McDonald's again?
people.
All right. All right, we are back
How
from
many?
our break.
nice.
If anyone is still hanging out with us, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. We are getting ready to continue after our adventurers have gotten themselves captured. This is going to be some fun stuff. I'm excited. Okay, so back from our break. Several hours have gone by. You guys have been stuck in these cages after your capture at the hands of this now growing conspiracy, this group. There's this organization, there's a hierarchy to these people now that you're starting to uncover. There's elements of it that are confusing. There's a lot of obfuscation here. Leosin has come up with a plan. By the time nightfall has approached, it is time to enact that plan. He kind of turns now, as you can see, he's gathered a lot more of his strength, where he can kind of actually like hold himself up. A lot of his bloody wounds have started to dry, so he's kind of streaked with dirt and kind of dried blood, and he's caked with bruises and things of that nature. He gets up and he goes, well, I think now's a good enough time to go ahead and make our way out. I'm going to cut the bindings. I've been chipping away at some of the bones here, so I'm going to make my way around once I can get out and cut the bindings on some of the other cage doors. Get you out first. There's a tent. I've been watching. There's a tent over there, and he points to it. It's a pretty nearby tent. It's actually quite spacious from what it looks like, one of the bigger ones. I've counted 4 different individuals that have gone in there, and here's my plan. If you can go in there, I'll let you out first, I'll let you out second. If you guys can go in there, you're going to need to be quick, and you're going to need to kill all of them. None of them can live, because we are going to put their bodies in these cages. That should give us enough time to get out without putting up too much of a problem. But you guys are going to have to be quiet. Okay? But I'm going to let you out last, and the reason why is because I'm going to need your help. We are going to we got to repair some of what I'm damaging once they can get the bodies in. But there's going to be some stuff we'll need to repair while they're doing that, okay? Can I count on you? Yeah. Okay. He makes his way out of the cage, which you can see he's been chipping away at parts of the bone, or some of the, parts of the door that actually allow him to kind of snap one with it's not even that loud of it kind of breaks a part off, and that allows him to kind of wiggle part of the door. So at that point, he's able to put more pressure onto it, and he does apply enough force in certain areas. You can tell he's very martially trained in a way that's maybe even a little bit more than you. And he just starts applying this very quick force in different areas and snapping or fracturing bone, causing the door to eventually open. He makes his way out and starts to cut through the binding that binds the door to the frame for your 2 doors. You first, you next. He points his way over to the tent so that you guys can head that way. He loops around and starts to bind you. So as you guys begin to approach the tent, what do you guys want to do? How do you guys want to do this? You're not sure.
Are we going in sneaky, or are we going to go in and give them a quick 1-2?
I figure we just walk up there and we do what we have to do, I guess.
Okay.
So honestly,
you guys see all of your gear on the.
Yeah,
there's a long table that's right outside that tent. So you'll have enough time if you're trying to be quick to get one weapon and jump in. So you grab your sword.
Have we left Leosin yet? Shit.
Yes.
Are we too far? God damn.
Well, you're not too far.
But
it's a short distance.
Can I whisper quiet enough for him to hear me, but no one else?
No.
Then no. I'm gonna grab. Yeah, I'll grab my sword.
Okay, so you get your sword.
I'm gonna grab the health potions. The 2 health potions that I have.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's fucking do it, baby.
Okay, so you get you get your potions, you get your sword, and I'm assuming you're going in first. You take your sword. It's completely unsheathed. And this massive greatsword that you wield with both hands, firmly grasping the actual hilt of the blade and the handle. You take a second, and you rush into the tent, pushing kind of like the flaps of the tent open, running through, and you see all 4 bodies just dispersed across the floor. Like there is so much blood in this tent. These bodies have been maimed, for lack of a better word. Whoever killed them did not do so pleasantly.
Can I perception check the tent? Is there anyone else in there or just the 4?
No, you literally walk into this just bloodbath.
Are you in here?
You
Is he
didn't-
in here? Is he in here?
Yeah, you run in, see the same
What
thing.
the fuck is this?
I don't know. We gotta get 4 other bodies quickly.
Alright. I'm gonna pick up 2 of the bodies. Can I pick up
Yeah,
the bodies?
These bodies are too mangled, are they not?
They're not like hanging on a thread. I'm just saying.
They'll last
It's
us
not
long
like
enough.
someone walked up and stabbed one. Like whoever killed them had fun with it. Like you can tell, these bodies are maimed.
But they're still bodies.
They're still bodies.
I can pick 2 of them. How many can I pick up? Can I pick up all
I'll
4?
say
Let me get all 4.
I'll say they're dead. You can pick up 2. So you pick up 2 and you bring them over. And while you guys are kind of working on mending parts of the bone that he broke,
Can I tell Leosin about it?
you and Leosin see the bodies that they're bringing forward, and you can see Leosin looks almost horrified as he sees what happened.
No,
he
I'm gonna
goes,
show up and
he goes, what did you do?
We found them like this.
What?
That we walked in and they were dead.
Okay, tell me. Why?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna start putting bodies into different.
We need to think about this later. But they were dead when we
You're
walked
right.
in.
No, you're absolutely right. You don't have enough time to question it, except that that's heavily
Can I-
concerning.
The last body I put down, can I inspect the damage to it?
Yeah,
Try and see
absolutely.
what did that?
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Sure.
What kind of roll would that be?
It would be a medicine check.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or an investigation.
I think what's better for you?
Medicine, you're diagnosing like the actual damage to the body. Investigation, you might be able to figure out the actual implements that did it.
I'll do it.
I got a 10 for medicine.
A 10 for medicine. They were cut into really bad. It looks like whoever was
Like
doing
deep
this,
cuts or
deep, very deep cuts, very intentional. So they're deep, which means that they're normally if you ever would see like a shallow cut, that normally marks hesitation or lack of force. These are very deep cuts. They're very intentional, and some of them look as if they're trying to cut to the bone. So they're very intentional cuts.
I got an 18.
An 18 for investigation. Whoever did this did so with a blade. Now, the only thing that you mark as actually, like, genuinely interesting is that the edges of the wounds, and this is just quickly, seem to be cauterized. So wherever this blade marked into, while there was a bloodbath, all the wounds have been cauterized. So there may have been an initial spray of blood with the 4 that were there. You probably have enough with how much damage was done. But it's not as if they were still bleeding by the time you got them.
I'm gonna look at you and say, I bet it was those little.
I think it's a flame sword.
No,
Well, how would it caught him? I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's go on. We can't figure that. We can't talk about it.
let's go.
Okay. So you guys put the bodies in the cages. Because you have mending, you're able to mend it. This does grant you a 2-hour head start on escaping the camp. Which, because it's a 2-hour head start, you guys are able to escape undetected.
Hey, let's go. Okay.
Yep, undetected.
I'll take it.
By the time you get out of the camp, eventually, once you reach a point, Leosin kind of stops everyone. He's like, okay. There was a lot of running, a lot of sprinting to kind of get to a point where you guys were good. Once you got clear of the camp, it was like suspicious shifting until you were like, and just run. Like you just booked it and ran. Eventually, you kind of all catch up, and he pulls one of the daggers out that he has, and he flips it around, blade in hand, hands you the hilt. He goes, "Yeah, that one back."
We got the rest of our stuff, right? Like
You guys spent time gathering your stuff. You guys had a 2-hour head start. I'm not going to take 2 hours of a head start and say, so you left everything behind. I'm not a monster, okay? I just play the monsters. There's a difference. You guys eventually make it out into a safe region. obviously it's night, so you guys are gonna have to find some place to maybe camp for the remainder of the night. You guys are all very exhausted, very tired. You can see Leosin at one point again. He's kind of stopping everyone. He goes, "Okay, I don't think they're gonna come back at this point. We need to, if they. What did you do to those bodies? You said it wasn't you?
We didn't do it. I rushed into the tent ready to hack and slash, and they were already done. They were like that when we found them.
Wait, did I see the bodies?
You did.
Look, don't the wounds are cauterized. How would we have been able to do that?
It was
I don't know. I trust me. I watched you two do stuff. I didn't want to put it past you.
Listen. We walked in there and their bodies were down on the floor, lifeless, and it was bloody. But their wounds were cauterized. Was something I noticed, which is weird. Well, do you know anything about them wielding anything with fire?
No. Look, okay. Now we have a little bit of some time to actually talk.
we didn't get a lot of time either to look around in the tent.
These people worship dragons. They worship dragons, and not the good ones. The darkest of dragons, the meanest of dragons, the most vile, prideful, deceitful, and terrifying of worms. They worship them like they're gods. They exalt them to such a point. Originally, people of this type sought after the power that dead dragons had to offer. Because there's a reward in being able to bring a dragon back to life. It's not the same type of beast. It's nowhere close to the same type of beast. But if you have something like that in your servitude, you could very well conquer kingdoms. They're after live dragons. That's what's concerning. I've done so much research on this group, and they haven't done stuff like that before, and I don't understand why. The biggest part is that they're tearing through the countryside to amass wealth, like a dragon's hoard. But for who? Everything that I've seen them funnel, which they only hold on to for a small while before they cart it up and send it up north. I don't know where. I have a suspicion, but I don't know where.
What do you think?
If they get enough dragons on their side, if they actually are able to buy dragons, we're done. We're all done for. So that's why I was trying to stay. I was trying to figure out what was going on. Because the council needs to know. Lord Neverember, Daryl Silverhand, Grand Duke Ravengard, all of them. Every major world leader will need to know. So, I appreciate you getting me out of there. I'm sure I very much put my life into maybe too close of a risk. I get that. But now we're going to have to potentially, well, I'm going to have to get myself back into it. That I know.
How are you going to do that without being obvious?
Well, that's a very good point. I don't know. I'll have to come up with something. But
You shouldn't pursue them any longer.
and let the world end? No, I can't. Look, I understand I don't have a lot of concrete evidence. A lot of these are hypotheses and theoretical questions and the big what ifs. But what I do know, which I understand I can't prove, but what I do know, and all I ask is that you trust me in that, is enough to terrify me for the sake of life, for loved ones, family, friends. Greenest is just the beginning. The world is the end.
Well, if you're going into this, let us help.
+1 to that.
Well, we're gonna have to make it back to Greenest first. then he kind of looks you up and down and goes, "There is some I'm going to need to teach you because I don't understand why you are wielding that type of a weapon." And he points towards your rapier. He's just, I've never seen anyone trained in the martial arts ever wield a weapon like that. So you're going to need to learn to use it if you plan to keep it. I can help you with that.
Of course, well, it was passed down to me from my family, so this isn't something I want to let go.
Attachments. You'll learn. Attachments are important.
Attachments are important and will get you through.
The more you attach yourself to things, the more they have control over you. You have to free yourself from attachments because it gives you the opportunity to be in control. Love, fear, wealth, things like that. The emotional attachments, the material attachments, the possessions can control us. While I can't change your mind, I can change your fighting skills, for sure. But we have to get back to Greenest, and we can discuss it further from there.
I do see where you're coming from, and I think it proves a good point.
I've never met someone that's willing to leave their wife and 3 kids to go hunt dragons. But I know of every individual that's willing to kill every dragon on this earth and die doing so because their wife and 3 kids were slain. There's no happy adventurer. Not that I've ever met. And attachments, they cause that.
Well, I think that's why half of us joined because we started out scarred already.
No such thing as a happy adventurer. Of that, you could not change my mind.
I mean, happiness is subjective.
It's fair. Let's not discuss the...
We're gonna get into this.
Let's not discuss the philosophical nature of the world right now, since it's on a finite ledge. Let's get some rest. We have much to discuss in the morning. Well, once we reach Greenest, we'll have much to discuss. Let's get some rest for now. I don't think and he kind of looks out. I don't think we really need to worry about them chasing after us. I'll be honest, if what you say is true, someone wanted us to break out, which is why it's concerning. I have a suspicion of who. So just get your rest for the night.
Can I insight that who?
Sure.
Have you ever thought that maybe the family member is doing something like this happened?
11. You notice he wasn't looking at you, but he was looking at someone. He wasn't looking at you, so you can chop it up between Arboris or Lux.
I'm flipping a coin here, buddy.
No, but I mean, do you think maybe he's not actually a bad guy?
You're asking about his brother?
The other tiefling. The yellow one. The other one.
I'm gonna be real with you. He told me that you used to watch him skin people alive.
It's not something I can talk about very easily.
My take on this is he toying with us? Did he let us go on purpose to reel us back in later? Should we be concerned with ourselves, or
You should definitely be concerned about it. I never know what he's going to do, what he's planning next.
He's usually this unpredictable. Well, looks like we've got another thing to keep looking over our shoulders for.
I'm gonna give you an opportunity to make an insight roll. More of just like a maybe kind of like an aha moment potentially coming to you after you have provided that very serious warning on this individual. Doesn't come to mind. There's a lot that happened, so you didn't make the mental recollection. It may come later, so I may ask for it again. But at the current moment, things were happening too much, so whatever I might have provided, it just didn't. It didn't like approach your character's thought. There was a lot of stuff happening.
So
You guys rest, unless you want to prolong. You definitely
I
can.
was just gonna say,
Yeah.
because it's I just think it's crazy that you went from being someone who stood by the side of someone who skinned people to being a happy-go-lucky adventurer with the rest of us.
I've always had an adventure in me, but I've never liked what he's done. But he was my brother.
So it is your brother. Oh,
I think.
Yeah, you never saw his face. He almost entirely covered it from you, and none of his voices matched the voice that you grew up with. So there's a lot of corroborating evidence that would definitely maybe lean that way.
so it was a choice to get away from. You weren't forced to run.
Kind of.
What does that mean?
Say they both happened at the same time.
Did you want to leave?
Yes and no. I love Waterdeep. That'll always be my true home.
I don't think there's anything we would really get out of him of any necessary, except making him reopen wings. We don't need to go into this.
You
now.
can poke a wolf with a stick; he's only going to bite.
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to ask.
Can't help.
Oh, it's just words of wisdom, at the very least. I understand. While I'm concerned as much, I know that you could beat it out of him, but what is that going to do?
No, that was it. That was all I wanted to ask.
So, well, everyone get some rest. We'll travel back to Greenus in the morning. I'm sure the governor would be delighted to see you guys alive. I'm sure Nassim will be excited that I'm alive.
You don't think they'll expect us to show up back at Greenus?
I think they will believe us have gone to Greenest. I think their plans, as far as they know, you guys are too insignificant.
So
you
unless we
freed one prisoner that has nothing to do with actually stopping what they wish to do.
Do they know that you know what you know?
Yes, that's why they tortured me for quite some time.
That's unfortunate.
They're well aware I made the mistake of asking the wrong questions and got myself caught.
well, you're gone now.
I have contacts that can assist us further, but I want to maybe rest and recover a bit before I reach out. But I will.
After we rest.
We'll need to at least get some sleep tonight. We'll make the Greenest maybe sit a few days while I figure out how to send the missives up to them. But we'll figure it out. Now, just sleep.
We'll talk more later. You fellas have a good night. My character's gonna retreat to bed.
Okay.
Well, I guess not retreat to bed. I'm gonna go with the third bed.
Alright, well, let's eat the hay, everyone.
You guys get some sleep, and for the most part, I mean, your sleep is safe. Like, you guys aren't woken up in the middle of the night for any form of danger. Nothing kind of encroaches upon you, and you can safely, rest without fear of maybe wild animals coming across. If they do, they don't do anything. You do have a pretty vivid, almost realistic dream that you have. This is the first time in quite a while that I know a lot of this too, and what maybe have spawned it as you enter this dream, as it happens. It's one of those dreams where it kind of happens, and you find yourself kind of maybe thinking of home. You remember where Lux had mentioned that Waterdeep was his true home. He loved it and never really wanted to leave, and so it got you thinking of home. It got you thinking of where you're from and your family, and you kind of put yourself in this almost snow-covered, the snow-covered mountain range that you're from. You are at the current moment on a hunt. As fairly as you can recall, it was the same hunt that kind of marked you as a man, in which you had to kind of do your your first kill. Like you had to kill something. You had to take the life, in this case, of a stag, just to prove that you could do it. To get across before you even approach something that was actually trying to kill you. The hunt goes smooth. Your father's there to guide you, and other hunters of the tribe are there for sure. Your father wasn't a hunter, but the hunters of the tribe are there to partake in it. It's a big moment. It's the way that your family and your tribe had cultivated your youth, especially especially a lot of the hunters, maybe even more so some of the men of the tribe, despite more of the matriarchal buildup that you had growing up, they definitely poured a lot of emphasis into making strong warriors that could defend that system. So you go on this hunt, and it's successful. You do bring down your first stag. You remember vividly spearing it in the side from 30 feet away. It was one of the most thrilling moments of your life. Your blood was pumping, your adrenaline was spiked. You felt your heartbeat pulsate rapidly. Eventually, after the kill has happened, you prayed over it to the gods of nature, allowing the spirit of this animal, this stag, to be celebrated for what it means for you, because it's a very important moment. As that happened, which you don't remember, this didn't happen, but it's happening now, in which you physically watch the soul leave the body and begin to prance its way up into what would be maybe the heavenly domains that joins the celestial bodies in the sky, becoming another star. Around you, you begin to watch the physical bodies of your companions, so the other hunters, your own father even, begin to fade until they're nothing more but spectral mimics of themselves. And even then, they begin to just start wandering off. You get left alone.
I just get up the sorrow that fills my.
You watch out into the expanse of the wilderness and find yourself having to maybe make your own shelter for this dreamlike night where you are alone. You sit at a small fire and contemplate your loneliness, your distance from home, and your joy. It takes a moment before you feel the presence first. It feels so familiar, yet completely foreign. It feels like something that you should know so well, yet have no clue what it is. And you watch this female form kind of crouch down by the fire next to you, completely spectral, and begin poking at the fire as she's soaking the actual flame itself and allowing the fire to kind of pick back up, and the coals and the actual sparks begin to kind of maybe fly off in a couple directions.
Do I recognize this woman?
You don't, to be completely honest, you don't, and that's what concerns you, because she wears she looks like a part of your tribe, yet you don't know who she is. And she soaks the fire, and you feel the way that it seems as if she's communicating to you is through motions. And so the motions become not words, but they become understanding. You can comprehend what she's trying to convey to you. And she pushes to you her own loneliness. Whereas you are temporarily lonely, she matches that. She meets you in that. You feel at that moment a brief sense of conviction, where that loneliness seems to be purposive. It was intentional. She's not ashamed of that loneliness. She's not betrayed by that loneliness. And then you are met by two other figures that also join. One carries with him, he's got a series of like bear furs that kind of surround the majority of like his torso, like the back of his torso. He has a massive sword that he kind of puts into the ground with not really a whole lot of care. The sword itself has definitely seen a lot of use, and he puts the sword into the ground. The sword is bigger than you believe you could wield, but this man is massive. He's bigger than you in forms of pure physique. So it seems as if the blade was crafted for him. The other one that approaches is, while similarly built, just not as grand in size. And he kind of wields a massive hammer and kind of looks at the sword with almost kind of like a paternal longing, like a very, very close care. Not his blade, but his blade. And the three just kind of sit there around you. You feel so at home with these other two. In fact, the minute they approach, the big warrior makes you think of your mother. And the smaller individual, the smaller male warrior, makes you think of your father. You don't know, again, who this female is that's here. But they all kind of feel very tied together. And because you have seen depictions of these two now, you almost feel as if you're caught in the same presence as some of your founding ancestors of your tribe that built your tribe to be the tribe that it is.
The emotions that Hakon would be, I guess, exhibiting then are going to shift from that sorrow and loneliness into more of a determination and a reignition of kind of the concept of his purpose in life and what he's trying to accomplish with what he has on Earth.
The three of them look at you, and you are overwhelmed with a sense of curiosity that seems as if it's directed towards you. Based off of that, if that's what you feel, you can tell that they can sense that. And so you're overwhelmed with a sense of curiosity that is intentionally directed at you. That makes you think that they're very, not maybe concerned, or at the very least, maybe just ignorant of what you need. And seem to be waiting for clarification.
I would say that I then feel supported. I feel like I feel supported and I feel proud. Is it? I'm going to also though. I want to look at them because they're all three standing still, right?
No, they're all sitting by the fire.
They're all sitting now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we sitting on like logs or?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Sorry. And how tangible are they? They're just like
They're spectral. So you think a lot of your tribal upbringing has really put emphasis on, ancestral spirits, and even though you've never seen that manifest into something that you've experienced, this might be maybe as close to what that could have been. Maybe people of your tribe, maybe this is the types of events that maybe caused that emphasis, and you might be brought into that at the current moment. You get a belief that they can understand you. They're
But I-
still very curious about you. You
I
do get a sense that maybe it feels as if they're expecting like an answer, or they're expecting something from you that might help them understand why they're here with you, or at least to maybe help confirm why they're here with you. It's very vague, but you feel that overwhelming curiosity, as if they're all curious about you, whether that's a concern or an expectation, like they're waiting for something. You're not sure.
So, I think I sort of am grasping where this is going. Now, I know that the tattoos on my arms are exposed.
Mhm.
Is the tattoo on my back exposed? No, it's not.
Not at the moment, no.
Can I go ahead and remove my fur cape
Yeah.
and then go ahead and lower my tunic down as well? So I'll just, because it just buttons up like I'm so I'll just unbutton it and then have it fall down my back and turn around and show them my back. And then they'll see my character's shoulders as he kind of drops his shirt and everything. He
Mhm.
drops his shoulders too when he exposes his back.
You watch as the bear warrior immediately picks himself up as you begin to kind of disrobe this cloak and kind of approaches you. The minute you salute, he becomes very physical, very tangible, and he forces you into an upright posture. He looks down at you for even saluting. For that brief slouch, you feel nothing but shame from him. To kind of see that from you. You watch as what happens is he picks you, like he physically forces you to kind of pick yourself up, and he puts one palm on your torso, kind of right over your heart, and he just gives it a couple just very firm pats. You watch as he turns, and he moves just a little bit to where the warrior with the hammer can move forward. He comes up to you and he grabs your arm, and he puts something in your hand. And he closes it, and he nods at you. It feels like maybe wood or stone. It's a little cold, but it's a little rough. So you're not sure if it's wood or stone or some other like hard surface. It feels natural, like a natural surface that's been put in your hand.
Do they keep their hand there, or do they pull it?
No, he pulls away after he puts it in your hand, closes it, and he just gives it to you.
I'll nod at him as well.
And then what you notice is the female goes ahead and she looks off into the distance where you can see where a snowstorm is beginning to kind of maybe die down. A lot of your vision around you is obviously just kind of maybe prevented by just natural causes which made you seek shelter. And as this snowstorm begins to make, it almost looks like it's split perfectly to see this. It's just a building. You're not sure anything about it. None of it makes sense. It's just a building. But she walks up to you and she puts one finger against a particular spot on your back. It's a tattoo, part of your tattoo, where the one individual that was added to your body, the one tattooed individual that was added to your body that you don't know is exactly who she touches. She touches that spot on your back, and it's almost as if,
And that's like, I feel that
and it's almost as if like clarity has come, where she's identifying herself as that founder. Immediately, they all just pack up they grab their stuff, and they leave you to it. They leave you. At about that point, you look down at the figure that was put in your hand, and it's a little wooden totem, a little figurine. It glows with the with like the same translucent energy that they seem to have been made up of. And there's a lot of power that's emanating from it. It begins to shake, begins to vibrate. It begins to crack in several areas before it shatters with just a small kind of like puff of this like spectral energy, and it all begins to kind of flow into you. You watch as all of your tattoos begin to light up the color of the ink that they were painted or tattooed, and everything kind of lights up on your body. So you take one opportunity to just almost feel a part of your home. You watch pretty quickly as those 3 warriors appear beside you. They all kind of begin to turn to these spectral lights that begin to form quite quickly. And you feel their support in you. They're here for you. And then just as quickly as they can come, they can go.
That totem, did it return the form?
Nope.
It's gone forever.
It was gifted to you by your ancestors to provide them to you. It's a conduit to get them to you.
Very token.
No. That's awesome.
That is
awesome.
where, as far as really your dream ends.
Because they disappear and I'm just there at the fire.
Yep. And you spend the remainder of your
fall
dream
back to sleep at the fire.
hanging out at that fire.
What kind of animal?
The totem's not.
You guys awake in the morning,
It's literally gone forever.
and you guys wake in the morning. It's time to travel back to Greenest. You guys spend roughly, I'd say, a good extent of maybe a day to get back to Greenest. It does take a little bit of some time. By the time that you return, Nassim is there to greet you. You see Nighthill does expect your return, in which you get a sense that maybe he's waiting. He's not out there ready to meet you. He's probably got a lot to deal with. Obviously, the town's still in a very rough shape. But as you guys arrive, Nassim is kind of expectant, almost seems nervous and anxious until you arrive and he sees you. He limps out to greet his master, who in that brief moment you hear kind of like a master to pupil kind of like reminder of what they were doing. A little bit of some shame gets sent towards Nassim for just a brief moment. And you see Nassim picks himself up. You can tell that while Leosin is very upset at the turn of events, it doesn't make him lose faith in his pupil. He's very much dedicated. You actually see almost like a fatherly approach to Nassim. He has a very paternal care over his pupils because he's obviously trying to prepare them to do this stuff on their own. You guys do get a brief period of time before you realize that you guys are being invited. You guys were given like an actual missive by either Sergeant Marcus, depending on where you are, or Escobar the Red, the Castellan himself, that Nighthill is definitely expecting maybe an actual return of events, just to understand maybe what you guys had found out. And Leosin's going to be a part of that, but they're pushing that off to give Leosin time to rest because he's still very, he just wants to be able to fully recover, like to be able to maybe put, everything that he experienced just a little bit more behind him, to recover physically, mentally. He just needs to rest. So they're giving him a day. They're going to reconvene and meet tomorrow. So you guys, you have almost a full day to kind of maybe rest and relax. Now, while that is kind of happening, you are sought out by Leosin, who, before he goes and takes that break, he approaches you and he goes, well, now is probably a best time to figure this sword play out as you have it. I haven't seen you fight, but I want to get an understanding, and I want to help you. If you're going to be a part of this, I just want to be able to know I can trust, and I can provide you everything that I know.
Of course.
Now, and you can see after he gets his things from the scene, he fights with a bow staff. He's got this very nice staff with a series of like chain-linked hoops that are at the end of one,
Okay.
and a nice handle on both sides of it where he would hold it, and one maybe directly in the middle. You can tell this weapon is, he has almost like wrappings in very particular areas that look like they're for his hands. He does take a moment to kind of show you a little bit of his work, and I say that because everywhere that there's a wrapping is exactly the precise space where he will grab it if he transitions it from one part of his body to the other. If it changes hands, if it's behind him, if it's in front of him, if it's to the side, if it's at an angle. No matter what, he will always find one of those wrappings, and he will always ensure that it meets that point. And watching it is very relaxing. It's very rambunctious for sure. This sudden festiveness that we have. But part of watching him is it's actually very soothing, because you're watching someone who's so skilled at what they do. Watching people that are really good at something do what they are really good at is always just really soothing to watch. Eventually he puts it down and goes, I'm not here to brag about myself, but it's very important that you know that to wield a weapon is to cause harm. It's to defend, to destroy, to protect, to slay. You will have every opportunity bundled into just pulling that blade out of its sheath. To ensure that you do so correctly, it needs to become an extension of who you are. It needs to be a part of you. It needs to be almost as if it was a finger or a toe. It needs to be inseparable from you.
I see, Master.
So we're going to work on it.
Of course. I will put in as much effort as I need. This blade isn't going anywhere.
All right, well, draw, because we have a few hours, and I don't know how many bruises I can put on you in that amount of time. At that point, you can see he kicks the bottom of the staff, which he has in his hand. He kicks the bottom of it, and it flips, and he twirls it, catches it, and then brings it around. And he kind of puts himself in the stance. And I'm going to need you to go ahead and roll an initiative for me.
Okay. Did you see that? Oh, did you see my Yeah. I got a 24.
24. Okay. You definitely go first.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to pull out. Well, I have my katana sheath.
rapier.
Rapier. Sorry. I've been playing too much Elden Ring.
No worries. No worries.
Okay. So I'm gonna go in.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go in for a jab.
Okay. So you go to stab in. Go ahead and make an attack roll. A lot of these are under the pretense of non-lethal damage. So you won't actually stab him,
Okay.
Take the other
but
side.
you're trying to actually
Break it or something.
make
Something.
contact.
Yeah.
Anytime you hit him, you're basically smacking
Like
him with
if
a
I
rapier.
was like yeah. I
Yeah.
understand. I got a. I don't have proficiency yet, so it's a 20 or 19.
19 hits. Yeah, 19 hits. So you're so quick on your feet that you lunge forward before he has an opportunity to deflect, and because he's got a weapon with both hands, where you know that he's going to try to pivot on either side, you almost catch him in the midst of that pivot and are able to kind of move over and just give a solid just whack across the shoulder. And you can tell, I mean, it's metal. It's not going to be painless. He buckles down, and you can see his teeth kind of grind for a second as that hits. Is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
Yeah, I'm going to. Is this purely swordplay?
Sure.
Because I could use a key point to unarmed
You
strikes.
could.
I'm not going to do that though because I'm purely showing off my rapier skills. So I'm going to just stand in a defensive pose with one arm behind my back,
Okay.
and I will end my turn.
Okay. He is going to kind of seeing that. He's going to kind of look at your form, and he goes, "You're close, but you haven't quite grasped it. Let me show you." He's going to give you a series of kicks and not strike you with the staff itself. That's going to be a 25 to hit and a 15.
This first one hits.
Okay, so you are going to take 8 points of bludgeoning damage as when he lunges towards you, you can see that he uses the staff as a feint, and he almost brings it up, and he brings his foot underneath it. You're not paying attention at the foot because you're paying attention to the staff, and it catches you right in the rib cage, and it kind of, and you can feel your breath like fly out. You can see at that point, after the kick finds purchase, he goes ahead and attempts to pull the foot back, and then he takes his fist and tries to punch out towards you, in which you actually catch that. He takes that opportunity, having his fist caught. He goes ahead and takes the staff and whacks it up to where it hits your wrist, forcing you because it hits all the, the tendons and all like the actual things that control your wrist. Hits it so rough that it forces you to let go, and he then quickly grabs a hold and moves. You can see he moves the staff as if it's between you.
So I'm lost. I lost basically.
No.
Oh,
Not at all.
But he has my rapier.
No, he doesn't have. No, he has his staff. He just, in an effort of missing, you deflected. You grabbed,
I see.
and so in order to ensure that you weren't grappling him, he was able to get control back of his hand. He's got his staff put in between you and him.
Okay.
And it looks like, for some degree, it's a defensive purpose. You haven't figured it out, but it's your turn.
Well, I see what you're doing, using that little staff as a distraction, and then I'm going to go in for I'm gonna this is how I look at it in my head. Obviously, I don't know if the combat will play like this, but kind of try to bludgeon, hit him in the leg to get him out, and then I'm gonna go in for 2 unarmed strikes.
Okay.
That strike, the bludgeoning doesn't hit.
What was the tackle?
10.
A 10? Nope. So with that one, you can see as you take the rapier and slap out towards the knee to try to actually make it give way, you can see he immediately takes the staff and puts it parallel to his knee. It hits the wood with a solid, you can hear it thunk against the wood, and he takes it there. You go ahead and throw your 2 punches. Go ahead and make those.
A 13.
Okay, that misses.
We're switching the dice. Jesus Christ. 15.
15. So neither hit, and as you throw these punches out, he dances around his staff, which he's kept firmly in the ground. He didn't move it to dodge the remainder of your attacks, but he maneuvers around it, keeping it between you and him. So as you punch, he moves around it and kind of strafes you as you're following along. He takes that opportunity after you've kind of exerted yourself in that brief time. He now has an opening. He's going to go ahead and attack you twice with the staff. That's going to be a 26 and a 19.
They
Both hit. Okay. He's using 2 hands.
Actually, no, I use my bonus action. I can't dodge.
So you're going to take 10 points of bludgeoning damage on the first. So that immediately brings you down?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the first hit, he hits you across the back of the head, and it sends you sprawling onto the floor. Now, non-lethal damage, and I'm not knocking you unconscious for the sake of this moment.
Yeah.
He sprawls you to the ground, and you lose your blade. Your blade flings from you and clatters across the ground. You immediately scramble to go and grab it, knowing that the whole point is to test yourself with this weapon. He immediately stamps his quarterstaff into the actual hilt guard that covers, the actual rapier, preventing you from actually grabbing it and moving it because it's locked in place. And he just looks at you as you're like... He kind of bends down and kind of gets down to your level and kind of digs the staff into the ground so that it sits still. He wants it to stay. And he just very calmly talks to you. I like what I saw. The problem is it's very complicated. I can't tell if you're completely on the offensive or if you're not. That's problematic. This blade speaks louder than you. It tells me exactly what I want to know about you so that I can overcome you. I can fight you and win in any battle by watching that weapon. It is an extension of you. It needs to be. So, here's my thought, right? And he just begins to start talking to you about ways of utilizing, a rapier, which again, in the martial arts world is just unseen. And so you guys are theorizing just the practicality of using it defensively. First and foremost, defensively. It's easy to use it offensively. Stick it with the pointy end.
Yeah.
Right? So he starts talking to you about the practicality of using it defensively, just as much as he was using his staff. You could tell he was literally dancing around the staff as you were flinging at him. The staff was the wall, and he uses a lot of that imagery where this is it's a separation between the things that you don't want to come near you and you, because it is you. It's an extension of yourself, and you're using it to propel things away from you, to keep them off the distance. So you guys keep coming up with all these different concepts and ways and practicality, and after you guys come up with some options, you just go right back into it. You go back into another kind of like brief spar, and you come up, he perfects that ability. Eventually, after maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of just rigorous training, you guys are both sweating, you are exhausted, you're covered in bruises from head to toe. They will go away, they're not, he's not beating you senseless, but you're covered with welts, covered with bruises, and he kind of looks at you and he goes, very pleased. It's taken quite some time to get this figured out, but I think from here forward, I think you got the hang of it. So I'm very confident to kind of maybe leave it at that, but this is what you need to consider with a weapon like this. You're using something that's very untraditional for people of our expertise, and that doesn't make it wrong. It means that it requires precision. So, go out in the world and prove that you have that. At this point, I'm more than confident. At this rate, you officially earn your proficiency with the rapier. You now are proficient with it. It is considered a monk weapon for you.
Hell yeah.
You have that training with it now to use it in this capacity. So you can go ahead and add, the proficiency bonus to your character sheet for that.
Well, thank you. I'll keep training.
We might not have a lot of opportunity to train side by side, and I fear that, which is why I wanted to ensure that you knew of this before tomorrow. I think everything will make sense once we speak. And he kind of looks around and goes, I have to go write a very heavy-worded letter. I need to write to my contacts. I have to get them at least knowledgeable of what happened. But we'll discuss with the governor tomorrow, I'm quite certain. And something will make sense, I'm sure. We'll figure something out. It may be some time before we're able to figure out what our next plan is. But we'll have to figure out something. Specifically, I think we need to figure out where they're going to take all of the wealth. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Nice work today, I think.
Yeah, that knife came in handy, didn't it? I'm sure you were telling me to go away, but I'm sure it helped during that cage.
Yes, knives are useful. If you know how to use them, which is, again, it kind of goes back into this.
You couldn't have given me a pat on the back or anything. All you did was pick at us.
Yeah, that just stokes people's pride, and I don't like to do that. I don't want to be the one that makes you feel good about yourself. I'm not here to serve your self-image in no way, shape, or form. So go earn that. You want to feel good? Go earn it. Go out into the world and earn it. Well, I'm not here to stoke those flames.
Well, I've realized now there's no winning with you, so I'll stop chasing it from you.
We've learned. He's dropped the attachment. And he starts walking off and just kind of just like...
You
And he's cradling the staff kind of like wedged in between his arm and his torso. And he's like, he's figured it out. Thank the gods. You're like, I'll see you tomorrow. He needs to walk off.
Sleep well.
You as well? Is there anything that you would have done throughout the day, Lux? There's a lot of people to do that.
Yeah, you could skin some people.
Whoa. I think I'm thinking a lot about the past
Sure.
and trying to overcome the fear I have.
Yeah. I'm going to allow you to make another... If you are going to spend some time to contemplate, make another insight roll for me. Because it very much could appear now. It could happen.
Okay. Is that the chain where you rolled last time?
13. You do have a little bit of some time to really consider it, whereas previously you really didn't have that time. Things were happening quickly, so it made it more difficult to kind of recall. So you just begin to slowly, over the course of some time, you're taking hours to just sift through your past and things of that nature. One thing that takes time before it pops up into your head is that brief moment when this tiefling snapped his fingers and your friend couldn't say a word. You've never seen anything like that before. Not with him. If he is the same individual you feared him, he has either benefited from this group in ways you don't know, or he grew, obtained, got some sliver of power that maybe drove him then to that group.
He's got the scales too.
You're not sure. But the one thing you remember is that he always looked at you, as far as you can remember in your past, he always looked at you with almost like a sense of either jealousy, like raw envy. I'm like the most bitter of envy for the magic that you have, or he's hidden so much from you. Because he did. He always had that envy towards you. So. But yeah, you think about it. You don't know when you'll be able to confirm if this is your brother or not. You fear about what that might be if that mask were off. But for the group of you are able to, again, kind of still help out in Greenwich. There's still work to be done. So while you guys rest, you do kind of spend some time to help, rest, recover. This does give you guys plenty of time to officially reach level 3. And we have marked now our Ancestral Guardian Barbarian.
I told you the totem had to do with this.
Our Kensei Monk.
I'm Ancestral Guardian.
Oh.
Not Totem Bear.
Wait,
Our Kensei Monk. And you've always been our Divine Soul Sorcerer.
What does Ancestral Guardian do?
I guess you'll find out next week.
Nah, I did that intentionally.
I guess you'll find out next week.
I asked that question intentionally.
We will pick up. We will pick up next week. As I think this is a good spot for us to end it for the night. We'll pick up next week at the Gathering, where you will meet with Governor Nighthill. You have much to talk with Governor Nighthill to kind of explain a lot of what's happened. You will talk with, obviously, Leosin will be there. I'm sure Escobar will be there as well. Obviously, it's going to concern the safety of Greenus. I'm excited for the next leg of the adventure, but you guys have much to discuss, and so we'll push that off till next week.
Sounds good to me.
Good stuff.
Shit.
All right, and that's where if anyone is still with us, then we so appreciate you for hanging out with us for this time. We are super excited to continue our journey through Hoard of the Dragon Queen, the This is going to be great. The stakes are starting to make themselves clear. Our adventurers still don't fully know the scope of what's happening,
We're starting to get a good idea,
but
though.
they will. And that's where the game's going. This is where the adventure's going to get a lot of fun. So I'm super excited. Next week we'll pick up. We are going to have a lot of great stuff planned. Let's hope no one dies.
Not me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's go bets. Who's gonna die first?
Let's not, because now I know who I can't kill based off of, and I don't want that.
You can.
I don't want to not kill someone
No, you
because
can
everyone
kill
then
him.
thinks it's gonna happen.
I vote Nick. Nick's gonna die first.
All right, now I gotta kill you
No.
first.
No. Imagine I
That
die
works.
next session.
That's
You know how
how it
tragic that would be?
Yeah.
I'm so scared that I've just said this on stream because I feel like I've manifested it at this
Yep.
point.
So character death gets manifested. The more you talk about it.
Fuck.
Yep. The dice gods work that way. So now
No,
I will
you covered
I
it.
will be blessed with the. Let's see. I'm gonna roll my 3d20s. We'll see if you have blessed the dice gods with your doom. You have postponed their wrath.
Okay.
That's a 3, a 4, and a 9. You have postponed their wrath, so it might not come tonight, but it may come next week. We don't know.
Shit.
So, okay. Yeah. So this is where we will pick up next week on Monday with the next stage, episode 3 of our Hoard of the Dragon Queen adventure. We again appreciate anyone, whomever is either watching us on YouTube, as we'll be posting this to YouTube, or has been joining us here on our lives as we are here on Twitch. We thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. We wouldn't do this if it weren't for people that were willing to spend their time watching us. So we thank you. You rock. We hope the adventure is great. We hope you love it. But you'll have to come back next week for more.
Thank you for watching. Have a good night.